Hello everyone and welcome back to GPVWC. This is round 13 of the Supercup Championship, and today we're at the treacherous Singapore Grand Prix circuit. This one is going to be fantastic. It's a street circuit, but as I was saying to my fellow co-commentator before the start of the race, it's one where you can overtake, so this is going to be a phenomenal series of races that we've got for you here today. Talking of my co-commentator, that is McIntyre, who's just got home from the Reading Festival a few days ago. Russ, how was it and how are you?
It was fine. I think I'm okay. A few cuts and bruises, and I've just about got all the dust out of my lungs, but I am very good, thank you, Caitlin. As you said, here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit, what a track to come to as well. I was just filling in on some Formula Challenge commentary a few nights back, and the pair of races we had then were absolutely crazy. So I'm definitely looking forward to tonight. Of course, two races, 30 laps for race 1, 20 laps for the reverse grid race 2. So there's plenty of action for you on here tonight. And well, the question is can anybody topple Luke Maguire? He's the driver in form at the moment, took a clean sweep of both wins at the last round at Italy, and is leading the championship ahead of teammate Chris Butcher by 33 points. So coming into this weekend, he is the driver in form.
Of course, only the second driver of the season to get that clean sweep, that rare clean sweep of Super Cup races, and we're seeing him at the start of a flying lap right now, just heading up through the streets of Singapore. This is one of the many 90-degree right-handers, but then you reach a DRS zone, and you see actually a bit of slipstream from his teammate up ahead of him on the road, Chris Butcher there. Down the straight he goes into another left-handed 90-degree corner. Plenty of those today, although that one feels very different because of the curb and the runoff on the outside. You need to make sure you don't get caught out over the curb. Then into another one out through. That's a difficult one actually, because the wall really comes out to meet you through there. And then towards the middle part of the track, we're just coming into the second sector. Little chicane there. There are a few chicanes on this course, a few artificial chicanes. And then over the Anderson Bridge and into a hairpin. And then up a straight. This is, I think, the longest straight on the course, despite not being the start-finish straight. One of many Herman Tilke tracks where that is not the case. And then into Connaught, the right-hander at turn 14. Now we get a sequence of chicanes. You've got 16 and 17, and then 18 and 19, which is that little chicane under the hotel that you just saw there. 20 and 21 is the left-hander, or the right-hander followed by the left-hander, and then the final two corners, although he heads into the pits and avoids the long sweeping left-hander out towards the start-finish line. So that was a pretty much complete lap of the Singapore City, the Marina Bay Street Circuit, as it's more commonly known, and not a complete lap there from Luke McGuire, although that's okay because he is still at the top of the standings with a 141.205 so far. That's 0.8 of a second faster than anyone else has gone in this qualifying session with 9 minutes remaining, Rob.
Yeah, indeed. He had a long way up on Stevens and Peter. However, another thing that I took from the Formula Challenge race, if you didn't know that, I've mentioned it twice already, is the track really evolves very, very quickly in qualifying, especially towards the end of the session. Here we see Moritz Kropp coming to the line. Let's see what he does. Goes third with a 142.049. Very good lap there. So, while McGuire is a long way ahead now, that is a very good starting lap. But the lap times are just going to tumble for the rest of the grid. So you'll see the guy on pole position won't improve as much. You know, that is already on the limit of what McGuire can hit, I reckon. But you know, the guys like Stevens, Kropp, Rigota, they will be getting very, very close as the time begins to tick down towards 3 minutes, 2 minutes remaining, because the track just evolves so quickly. We're not expecting any rain tonight either, which is obviously a positive, because otherwise if there was rain coming down, especially in qualifying, well, we wouldn't be seeing a much changing amount of positions. Of course, here at GPVWC, we use live weather, so if it's raining at the Marina Bay Street Circuit in real life, then it is raining in the game as well, but it's expected to be, well, not sunny, but very moony, I should say, obviously under the night lights here in Singapore. And yeah, no rain expected for tonight, just a lovely 26 degrees according to my Google weather, so that's not too bad.
I like that word, moony, very, very good. Anyway, so who will be watching now on the broadcast? That will be current 21st position, Mike Bell. No, it's not actually. It's well, sorry, we can't see that. The screen is rather small on that side of my stream, but it's one of the red arrow cars, I think.
George Sutton.
George Sutton, there we go. That's my.
I'll let you have a bit of a guess before there, but
going P11. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
But anyway, that's the difficulty with. Oh, and a big slide there through turn 3. That's the difficulty of having slight streaming issues. But anyway, two drivers whose positions we have to take with a little pinch of salt today: Jan Grankvist and also the other driver with the 5-place grid penalty is Gijs Sonneveld. So we have two different drivers with 5-place grid penalties for this round due to infringements in previous races, and as a result, wherever they qualify, they will actually start 5 places lower. And Grankvist is the higher of the two at the minute, currently running in 13th place. So a couple of drivers will be slightly out of position at the start. Purple sectors and a second fastest lap for Shimon Frelich there, 0.120 off Luke McGuire. He was purple in sectors 1 and 2, but McGuire had the edge over him in the third sector. 141.325 was the lap for Shimon Frelich there. And we're now watching Tom Stevens, the only other driver to have taken both wins in a race weekend, as well as Luke McGuire, as he passes a stricken car that looked like Damien Kardash to me, facing backwards on the right-hand side. Indeed, Kardash rather motionless right now, trying to wait for a clean gap in traffic so he can get back to the pits. But Stevens doesn't appear to have been affected because he's still looking relatively quick as he flies up towards the final 2 corners. This is how those final 2 corners should look. And across the line he goes, and he does improve his lap, although he stays third, just a couple of tenths of a second of Frelich and Luke in Frelich and McGuire in P1 and 2.
Indeed, just a note about Jan Grankvist, obviously with his penalty. Jan, since he came into the championship at Canada, has only finished outside of the points 3 times, and that was outside the top 10 rather 3 times, and that's when he's retired. So he's really come in and set the Supercup on fire as well. Just another note that I know personally, I know that Justin van der Smissen, who's coming in again for this race, will be starting from the pit lane. That's his own personal choice. He's been invited in to the race for this round. He came in at the French round at Magny-Cours as well, and he started from the pit lane. And then he's starting again there tonight as well. That's just a personal decision. Wants to set himself a challenge and stay clean on lap 1 as well. Yeah, just cracked a little joke. So yeah, so he'll be starting from the pit lane, but that's no penalties there, just his own decision.
And a big lap just came in from Luke Maguire, 141.022. And once again, he's 0.3 of a second faster than anyone else on the grid. And Frelick is in the pits, probably setting up for his final run now. So no one out there actively challenging him right now. Jason Muscat across the line, P5, but there is a big gap up in front of the field. Between P3 and P4, it's almost half a second. So Muscat, although he's 5th, is 1.5 seconds off the pole position time, just showing how spread out the field is so far. And that's rare for the Supercup, but Singapore really is a track that separates the good from the great. And as a result, the whole field is so much more spread out than it usually is, which could create some drama throughout the race as the leaders potentially catch traffic, although that will probably only happen in race 1. Whatever the case, Luke Maguire right up there right now. Chris Butcher joins him in the top 5, P5, although despite being in the same team as Luke Maguire with presumably a very similar setup, he's an entire second slower. Luke is bossing this.
Yeah, Luke is absolutely on form. Of course, THR, as you said, those two over at THR, they have absolutely left in the championship. If they haven't run the constructors already, then they're going to either this round or next round, if my maths serves me correctly, because they're on 713 points. In second place, HGP Motorsports are on 488, so they're quite a way in front. So those two, yeah, but interesting to see that Butcher's not just not on the same pace as Maguire here. As you said, though, it is a track that really separates the wheat from the chaff. You know, very, very fast, but very, very tricky circuit. Lots of blind 90, more than 90-degree corners that are still obviously very high downforce as well. And, you know, this first section, one of the trickiest opening sections in motorsport, full stop. Obviously, you've got a very fast left-hander, but that immediate right-left. It's blind, it's tricky, and obviously it's a street circuit as well, so it's very bumpy all around the track. So it's very, very tricky around here. So Maguire, obviously, you know, the driver on form at the moment. And of course, Marina Bay Street Circuit opened back in 2008 for the F1 season. Then it was the first ever Formula 1 night race. However, that first race did come under a lot of controversy from obviously the whole Crashgate incident when the Renault team ordered Nelson Piquet Jr. to crash on purpose to boost Fernando Alonso's chances with an early safety car, and Alonso ended up winning that race. But that's Formula 1, that's irrelevant. GPVWC Supercup's not relevant right now. Well, the driver's 5 kilometres or 3.1 miles to deal with around here, and as you said earlier, Caitlin, 23 turns. It is a tricky circuit, and Kropp a purple medal sector there as well. Goes that's second with a 141.215. So we're seeing purple sectors here and there, but no one's able to get the full package together yet. It is still Maguire on provisional pole.
Yeah, P2 for Moritz Kropp, very, very good. But I've been watching Shimon Frelick as sets up what will be his final flying lap. Shimon, big twitch in turn 1 there, big twitch, and that's going to cost him a 10th or 2 as he tries to power his way to a better qualifying position. Although, of course, this is right at the end of the session, and that will be his final flying run. Who are we watching now? That looks to me to be one of the Greens. I'm getting completely confused by who we're watching right now, but anyway, Luke Maguire is now on our screen, and I recognize him, the championship leader and current provisional pole sitter, as he tries once more to increase his margin. He's just setting up for one final flying run. He's going to cross the line with about 20 seconds to spare, and that, of course, will be absolutely his last chance. Frelick, meanwhile, is still going, has not backed off yet, and rightfully so, because he still stands a chance of going quicker. There's a lot of time to be gained on a circuit such as this, and as you said earlier, Russ, the times do tend to come down as the track rubbers in and gets quicker, and the drivers get more confident. But as drivers are pushing now and late in the session, there's even more chance of getting held up by incidents happening in front of you on the road or something like that. And with Frelick having that twitch earlier on, that's not going to do him any favours whatsoever. Let's see what his time is. He's heading towards the final couple of corners. I'm not sure that he is going to improve this time. Someone who is improving is Luke Maguire, who may not need to, but sets a purple first sector. Frelick does improve. He's less than a 10th off Maguire, but just misses out on provisional pole. I have a feeling that's not going to matter though. Russ, here comes Luke.
Indeed, he does. Purple first sector. As you said, he doesn't even need it, though, because as it stands, no one's even thinking about challenging him. Oh, big slide through that left-hander there. Manages to catch it well. May have cost him a couple tenths of a second. He'll be coming up to the second sector split very shortly. There is still up 2 tenths of a second quicker than his personal best. Another purple sector, even with that huge slide. Maguire is absolutely on it at the moment. Let's just continue on board for the rest of this lap. As it stands, he's already got pole position because nobody looks like they're going to be challenging him. But coming into the final section of the lap now, just one right left in the final corner to go. Bounces over the chicanes, curbs. Important that you don't bounce too much over that left, or you'll find yourself in the wall on the outside. One corner to go, turns in, clips the inside chicane. It's going to be pole position for Luke Maguire. It's not quicker in the final section. Actually, he does still improve, I believe, with a 140.833. But it wasn't a totally clean lap. Shame for him. Jason Muscat's coming to the line as well. He looks to be down on his personal best. Bit of a slide out the final corner as well. And he is down. So it's looking like it's going to be Luke Maguire on the pole with a spectacular lap. And he could have gone quicker as well. Just made a slight mistake in the final section. But Luke Maguire continues his good form and continues his charge in the championship with pole position here in Singapore.
Only driver to do it in under 100 there is Maguire, and that's just rubbing salt in the wounds at that point. He is very, very fast here. Not quite a completely dominant display, because even though he was already up before that lap, Shimon Frelick was getting close and was less than 0.3 of a second off at the end there, which didn't look like it was going to be the case towards the start. So he still has something to answer for in the race. But even so, you could say the top three are in a class of their own. Kropp and Stevens. There's about a 2 and a bit second or 2 and a bit tenth gap between the two of them, and then another 6 tenths back to Chris Butcher in 5th place. The other THR car not really struggling. I mean, he still qualified 5th, but compared to his teammate, he's nowhere today. And that of course has implications in the championship as well. Damien Kardash jumped up into to 6th towards the end. And actually, I'll save the rest of the field because I know we're going to run you through the entire qualifying order in just a little while, but as I said before, quite a spread out field as far as Supercup goes. 4.8 seconds between the lot of them, and don't let that fool you into thinking that we're not going to get a good race here, because my goodness, GPVWC always provides.
Indeed, it certainly does. One thing that you're going to need to keep a very close eye on in race 1 is the tyre wear. Of course, race 1, we do have a mandatory pit stop for the drivers, and while tyre strategy usually comes into play, this time it really is, because Singapore is harsh on the tyres anyway. And then when you consider the environment, it's a tropical environment in Singapore, very, very hot, very, very humid, and this is right on a harbour as well, much like Monaco, so it's extremely humid. So it's just going to cause absolute havoc on the tyres. And when you consider how rough the curbs are, how rough the track surface is, because it's a street circuit, all these factors come into play, so it really isn't too kind on the tyres. So you may be seeing some very out there strategies here, which you're going to have to wait and see. We know that, Butcher is often one who likes to play around with the tyres, but he's obviously not quite on par with his teammate Luke Maguire, so maybe he'll be aiming for a long shot strategy, and we'll just have to wait and see, and hopefully we'll just be heading out for our last minute warm-up now, as the driver just get 10 minutes or so just to make sure everything's working okay, make sure the tyres, the setup, the fuel is all in order, and get some practice starts done as well. It's not the most exciting session, but it's one that is needed. And it gives us a chance to discuss a few points about the race as well, and just gives the drivers and the teams just a chance to have a look through the data, make sure everything is working as it's supposed to be. And you can see there that some cars have already left for the warm-up session. It should be roughly 10 minutes, unless I'm mistaken on that one. And yeah, it has got underway now. As we can see, 8 minutes and 50 seconds left in the warm-up session. We'll be seeing a few drivers doing practice starts as well, so don't be alarmed if someone just stops randomly on the front stretch. They are allowed to do that. You are allowed to escape back to the pit lane in this session as well. In qualifying or in the race, if you hit the escape key on your keyboard and teleport yourself back to the pit lane, that is it. That is your session over. However, in the warm-up, you are allowed to do that. So just in case you see people teleporting and you're wondering what's going on, do not be alarmed. It is allowed.
Now, I'm a little bit worried about the brakes as well. David Yunt in the YouTube chat saying this track also used to eat the brakes. I'm pretty sure that that might still be a consideration here, because we saw brake issues at Baku, a very similar street circuit in terms of its stop-start nature, its heavy braking zones, its 90-degree corners. So the brakes are going to have to be a bit of a consideration today. Hopefully everyone has considered that. Let's talk you through the championship standings. So far, it's Luke McGuire at the top of those by 33 points from his team mixture, and those two, as you say, have been absolutely running away with it ahead of Chris's compatriot Tom Stevens, running in third place, 72 points behind Chris Butcher. And pretty much the only driver in that ballpark, because then there's another big gap back to Damien Kardash. And then it's Jason Muscat running fifth in the championship, and he has been driving consistently, getting some good results recently, but he's dropped out of the points in both of the last two sprint races, so we'll be looking for even more consistency than usual today. Then it's Moritz Kropp, Owen McGorgy, Craig Patterson, Alexander Ragosa, and Benno Klont, the top 10 in the championship, with Shimon Frelich sniffing at their heels and trying to break into that one. A couple of teams have dropped out over the course of this championship after realizing that their chances have been going away from them. That's why we only have 23 cars here today rather than the 30. But it's THR at the top of the teams championship, and by quite a considerable margin. And HGP have been pretty much in a class of their own in second place as well, followed by Nova Simracing, Force, and Gallery 82 to make up the top 5 teams in these standings. But really, teams are not as they don't have as big a hand to play in terms of the race results as they would in, say, Formula One. You don't often get one team dominating, because yes, even though we've got THR 1-2 with Maguire and Butcher, they've only won about maybe half of the races, maybe 60% of the races so far. Stevens has taken wins, Kardash has taken wins, McGorgy's taken wins, Moritz Kropp has taken wins. So really, anyone in those top few teams could take a victory. Especially race 2 tends to shake up the order as well, and the rest of the podium is anyone's guess, right?
Well, it certainly is. It's obviously a very versatile championship here in GPVWC Supercup, and as you said, a few teams unfortunately have dropped out, but that doesn't mean you can't come and get involved as well at home. If you're watching along and you fancy your chances, if you're not involved in GPVWC, don't be afraid. You can go use the links in the description. You can come and join our Discord and find out more there, or you can go to the website, which is gpvwc-simracing.com, and find out how to get involved if you want to. If you're new to GPVWC, if you want to have a drive, if you want to just see what's going on in general, you are very welcome to do that. And of course, if you are watching along on YouTube, please do not be afraid to hit the like button, and if you haven't already, do click on the subscribe. It really does help out everybody here. A lot of effort goes into organising these championships, these races, and these broadcasts as well, so it helps out everybody when you do that, and we do appreciate it very much. Luke McGuire, once again though, showing absolute dominant form in the warm-up session. Just you can see him there, just cutting his way through some traffic, really pushing very hard. For a warm-up session as well. Obviously, it's a lot of drivers, don't even go out. I used to sit on my phone when I used to race. I never raced on GPVWC, but when I was in other series, I used to just sit on my phone in the warm-up because I didn't really see the point. But Maguire absolutely on it. You can see just how close he was to the wall there. That was really aggressive. I'd be surprised. Well, I'm not going to say anything, but I'd be surprised if Maguire wasn't picking up some very strong points here today. I'll just say that much. As he comes into the final section now, we saw in the Formula Challenge race a couple nights ago, one of the leaders of one of the races. It escapes me who it was for the time being. It was Darius Andre. It was. There you go. Remembered it in the end. Who was leading race 1, and then just the rear end just absolutely spat him out coming through the final corner. Nothing he could have done. So it's important to look after your tyres here because obviously aero is very important. You see Luke McGuire getting a bit of a practice start. Aero is very important, tyre wear is crucial, so it's very important that the car is very stable, but also very quick around here. It is a tricky circuit. Maguire absolutely on it right now. We should be coming up to the last few minutes in the warm-up now. And then obviously we'll be seeing the cars teleporting back into their garages, sitting there for a few moments, and then teleporting back out onto the grid for their formation lap, which are obviously full manual formation lap as well here in our Factor 2. Again, if you are new, this is well, it's an interesting game, I'll say that much, but it does allow you full manual control on the formation lap, which is pretty cool. It has caught on more with other games of recent years, but it's had this since the start back in 2013. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Just noticed something fantastic. In the DRS zone on the exit of turn 6, the word slow is written pretty much all over the track, because of course these are public roads with the usual public signage and everything like that, but there's nothing slow about that section of the fastest part on the circuit, and I just gave myself a little chuckle looking at that one. But anyway, a lot of the arrows pointing the wrong way. Of course, these cars in the circuit doesn't necessarily keep to the intended direction of these roads, but that's okay. They're all going in the same direction. It's a race circuit after all, and they're going in that direction very, very quickly. Oh, there are 3 DRS zones on the track, so I've just noticed another one after the Anderson Bridge. Yeah, I think there are 3 DRS zones here, aren't there? I thought there were only 2. That's good to know. Keep your eyes out on that one. As I said, it's a street circuit, but it's one where you really can overtake.
It certainly is indeed, and lucky that the official language of Singapore is English as well, because otherwise we wouldn't be understanding what it says on the floor of the track. Just coming up to 1:30 now left in this warm-up session, and there's not really any point getting excited over times, because they don't really mean anything. It is just a warm-up session. Usually in real life, when there is warm-up sessions, they're used to make sure that there's nothing illegal in the fuel of the car. I remember back in karting, that's what they do, is because you can have little tablets you can poke in the fuel, kind of the fuel box, and it'll, it enables the fuel to run really rich. So that's what they have warm-up sessions in karting before the final. So you burn that off, because after the warm-up, the cart's then in park firmer, you can't touch it. But here, it's just make sure everything's working. So the times aren't anything to get super excited about, but you can still watch along anyway. You see there George Sutton pulling over to the side of the track, getting a warm-up start, and I reckon obviously these being single-seater cars based roughly off of a Formula 2 car, so and if you know anything about Formula 2, it's that the clutches really are quite horrible, so it's important that the drivers make sure they have everything absolutely bang on going into that. As we just wait now for the session 2 comes to a close. There's Vincent Gutt in the other Red Arrow car, as we're just waiting. Of course, if you are new to GPVWC and you have no idea what you're watching, this of course is the Supercup, the 3rd tier of GPVWC, with the 2nd fastest car based off the 2018 Formula 2 regulations, 620 horsepower, 720 kilos, with 3.4 litre V6 turbo. Called the SC20. No guesses for what that name stands for. And it, in terms of what it actually does, in terms of the structure of the leagues here at GPVWC, it introduces a basic finance system to driver contracts. And there are 2 races per event. The first one is 150 kilometers, and the second is a reverse grid 100 kilometer event. And the reverse grid is chosen at random, so anybody within the points, which is the top 15, there is a number pulled out of a hat, completely random, and whatever that number is, whoever finished there in race 1 starts on pole position for race 2. It may sound a bit unorthodox, but if you watch British Touring Car Championship, it's similar to the system that they use. We do now have the checkered flag out in the warm-up session, so it should be just a few short moments until we're getting underway with our formation up. You can see there Luke McGuire finished on the pole, I should say quickest in the session with a 1:43.557. Moritz Kropp, 0.02 of a second off though. That's more akin to the distance between drivers we're used to seeing. And as Vincent Gutt then disappears, nothing to worry about. That's everyone just teleporting back to the garages. You can see them all there, and then they should have hopefully in a minute teleport onto the grid, and then we'll get going with our formation lap.
Fantastic. So indeed, oh yes, right. The session has now turned over, and the cars are getting ready to head out onto the grid. All 24 of them have now made it into the session, so there is a driver who's joined us who didn't set a qualifying lap. I think it might be Tom Voss who's out there. But anyway, that's good to see. Out of a full 30, so as I said before, some of the teams deciding that enough is enough in this championship, which is a bit of a shame, but still 24, a very decently sized grid of cars. And just 20 seconds now until they head away on the formation lap, and then we can show you the full grid of cars. Let's keep an eye on the tyres that the drivers are going to be starting on. We expect all of the top 10 to be starting on the softer compound of tyre, because that is what most of those will have qualified on. I am wondering about Chris Butcher. I've just realised I should really have checked what tyre he made his qualifying lap on, but we'll see in a couple of seconds. Here comes the grid in a few seconds. Let's take a look at how the drivers are going to line up. It's going to be Luke McGuire on pole alongside Shimon Frelich, a good qualifying performance from him, and Moritz Kropp and Tom Stevens in the second row of the grid. Following them is the medium-tired runner, so I was right, Chris Butcher, and then Damien Kardash also on the mediums. Then it's going to be Jason Muscat, mediums, Alexander Ragosa, softs, and then Craig Patterson and Kasper Michalak, the top 10 in the order. P11 is going to be Menno Klont, followed by Philip Koenig, who is in the pits, so Koenig will start from the pits. Back on the track, George Sutton will be followed by Vincent Gutt, his teammate at Red Arrow, then Daniel Felipe Carrera and Owen Phil Hagsvik. Then Michal Galka, Heis Sonneveld with a penalty, Jan Grankvist also with a penalty, and then Remco de Jure. And then outside of the top 20, Mike Bell, Mihailo Vicentijevic, Justin van der Smissen starting from the pits, and then Tom Voss will also start from the pits. So Vicentijevic then will round out the grid, and we have 3 different drivers starting from the pit lane in this race. Unsure about why Philip Koenig did. Voss, of course, missed qualifying. He is standing in today for Owen. For Boogie, and then Justin van der Smissen, of course, elected to miss the race, or not miss the race, but miss the start. Philip Koenig, unsure, maybe decided to do that in order to miss any potential carnage that may happen in the first few corners. Maybe he simply missed the deadline to get out onto the grid. But whatever the case, that's your order. Ross, who are you going to be looking out for here?
Well, who else would it be other than the man that we're seeing at the moment? The man on pole, Luke McGuire, was just so dominant in qualifying. I think he's gonna, obviously we don't know what's gonna happen, but I think he might just pull away. We'll just have to wait and see. Of course, turn 1 could be a bit chaotic. We're all at the mercy of the 5 red lights now.
Indeed. Let's talk about Moritz Kropp for a second. Good to see him back. He missed the Italian round. I expect he was probably on holiday, much like I was, but qualified 3rd on his return to the championship, and for his championship position, that may end up being very important. So now, the drivers pulling into position on the grid. Vicentijevic will round out the 21 drivers who have made the starting grid. 24 will hopefully start the race, 3 of those being from the pit lane. And now we just have to wait for the 5 red lights and watch them extinguish, because when they do, we will be underway for a short run down to turn 1, but then a full-on 30-minute race. And here we go, the lights are illuminated, and they're out, and off we go. Luke McGuire gets the power down, and it's better than Shimon Frelich. He's going to cover the lead off into turn 1. So McGuire does indeed lead, followed by Frelich. Let's see if turn 1's clean. Kropp and Stevens are side by side for 3rd. Little bit of contact there, but they keep out of the wall. That's good to see. Right, now on the exit of turn 3, no Force India movements. That's always relieving. And it looks as if all 24 of our cars are away, 3 of them from the pit lane, but that doesn't matter because they are all pointing the right direction, and I think everyone still has their wings attached. Further back, Sonneveld is going side by side with Grankvist now. Whoa, no, it's Grankvist and Gutt. Slight contact there, and a little bit of a kerfuffle up in front, as Kardash has a twitch. And now there is a big gap between Frelich and Kropp between turns between positions 2 and 3. Muscat side by side with Kardash for P4, Ragosa for P5. So now both of the Gallery 82s are in the top 5, Russ.
Yeah, indeed. Great start. We saw a bit of wheel banging here and there, a couple of people making contact, but ultimately it was clean through turn 1. Maguire does still lead the way from Frelick, who did have a look around the outside down into turn 5, but wasn't able to capitalise on it. As we see here, everyone just slotting into single file. It's a 30-lap race, so there's plenty of time to make your moves ahead of you. So these guys, it's not like we're in an Academy or Formula Challenge where it's a much, much shorter race. They want to get the moves done much earlier. There's still strategy to play. Again, you'll be seeing it later on with the much shorter race too. And of course, there's no strategy in that race because there's no mandatory pit stop. You can take a pit stop if you want, but you don't have to. So a lot of the guys will just go to the end. Maguire leads the first lap from the pole, so you will be seeing perhaps race 2 being a little bit more hectic at the start because there's less time to make the moves done. Maguire has already got a bit of a gap back to Frelick. Krop in P3 as well, 1 second back from Frelick. So it's Maguire from Frelick, from Krop, from Kardash, from Ragosa is your top 5. Muscat trying to have a go on Ragosa as well. It would seem Sutton on the back of this pack. Looks like there's some trains starting to form here and there, but nothing too major. Of course, no DRS activated just yet. Chris Butcher's not had the start that he would have wanted, down to 11th. So outside the top 10 for one of our championship contenders. Yeah, that's really not ideal for Chris Butcher. You know, he would have wanted to be gaining places, not losing them, but we'll see if he can try and have a fight back. Mike Bell, oh, who was that on the outside having a big twitch? I think that was Gatka. Yeah, it is Galka, who's had a big twitch on the outside, and it's Mike Bell having to fight. That is squeezing his way up the inside after Galka managed to force his way around the outside at turn 5. But this battle is not done yet. Galka looks to the inside but can't do anything into the left-hander. Very tricky corner. Get a car right over to the left again for the right. Again, lots of very fast-flowing sections in this middle sector. Galka now having to go into the defence from Dazoo, and Sonneveld behind as well, looking pretty racy. So it's not over just yet for Remco Dazoo, as he's having to defend, having to attack at the same time. So we are seeing a few battles here and there forming, but it's still all pretty formal as it stands. Everyone just trying to see where the tyres are at, where the track's at, how the fuel's doing, as we surely come to the end of lap 2 in just a moment's time, and that will mean that DRS is activated. You can then use DRS. There you go, lap 3 of 30. You can now use DRS. Oh, that's a huge twitch for Luke Maguire. Very well saved through the first turn. My goodness me, no idea how he saved that. And he's also outside of DRS range of Sim and Frelick. So Maguire, with a big save, his days are looking pretty chill apart from that one.
Yeah, great couple of laps from Luke Maguire to lead comfortably. Here's a replay of his twitch. There we go. Whoa, keeps it within the lines. Only just, but he does. And that means he still has that important 1 second buffer, 1.2 or 3 second buffer as it is now. But that's comfortable enough to avoid Shimon Frelick from getting DRS. In fact, pretty much all of the top 5 or 6 cars are separated. It's Jason Muscat, the top driver, with DRS. Now, I should correct myself. Chris Butcher, Damien Kardash, Alexander Ragosa, all of those drivers are indeed on the soft compound of tyre. It was just that the game hadn't loaded in the tyres properly quite yet. We've had an incident further back. The Heigo Vicentijevic is very badly damaged. He looks to be out of the race, so he may be our first retirement here. And he's had a collision with Tom Voss on the X. Oh, yeah, they've been into the wall. Right, well, we'll get you a replay of that in a second, I expect, because they are both now out of this race. So that's the first incident. No one came into the pits at the end of the first lap, or indeed the second lap, but now it's all come to blows further back. Up in front, Maguire still leading this by over a second from Shimon Frelick. And here's a replay. This is the replay of the accident between Tom Voss. No, it's not actually. We haven't gone back quite far enough, but that's okay. Tom Voss looks as if he's bounced off the wall a little on his own after that as well. But it was on the exit of turn 7 between Voss and Vicentijevic, who came together, tangled, and went into the wall on the left-hand side. But anyway, race over for both of those. And Krop now looks to be in with yes, and he's going to get DRS off the back of Frelick. So Krop going for second. He won't be close enough for a move this time around, but that's the closest he's been since the very start of the race. The top 5 separated, but now they're coming back together again.
Yeah, indeed, we're getting a replay of this incident. So Voss down the inside. Just comes together with Vicentjevic, both hard into the wall. And yeah, you can see, well, that's game over. Vicentjevic was out there, and then Voss managed to carry on going round. But it's, without a rear wing, with some heavy suspension damage, that is going to be game over for you for race 1. Krop, though, closing in on Frelick, as you said. He is within DRS range now. We got one of the DRS zones here. Not going to be close enough to get close enough for a move, but it's just all about closing in. Again, it's only lap 4 of 30. Oh, and that is Daniel Felipe Carrera round. Wonder what's happened there. Just facing the wrong way. Looks to be no damage to the car. Just trying to see. I can't see any damage, but I wonder what's happened there. Maybe just a bit of contact, or giving it a bootful on the exit of the corner. Just had a very long spin. That is a possibility. But he kept out of the barrier nonetheless, which is impressive. Let's see what the gap is at the line from Krop to Frelick. Looks like it's going to be about 0.6 of a second, just over half a second separating them coming into the first turn. So Krop is closing. He's getting closer and closer. He's got the pace advantage at the moment in this phase of the race. However, you have to take into consideration what tyres he's on. Is Frelick on a harder compounded tyre? I don't think he is. But again, what fuel has Krop got left? What fuel has Frelick got left? How much tyre do they have left? Again, Krop maybe just looking at his tyre data, thinking, you know what, I can push now, go on to a harder compound later, or I can run a compound later, as he gets even closer after the second DRS zone. So Krop, he's, it's all advantage him at the moment. And while this is all going on, as we get a replay of what happened to Felipe Carrera, yeah, just lost the rear end, kept it out of the wall very impressively. He's also in the wrong car, apparently. He's apparently in the number 2 car, which is not his. But, just lost the rear end coming around the left-hander. But, while Krop and Frelick are looking to have a fight, that's going to allow Maguire to pull away. So, Maguire's looking back and thinking, this is great, because these two are going to be battling. They're going to be using up their tyres, losing time to each other. This is going to make my life a lot more easier. So right now, it's all advantage in Maguire, your championship leader. And as it stands, if we finish as we do now, that'll be his 3rd race win in a row as well. So Maguire certainly in a very comfortable position at the moment, especially when his main championship rival and teammate Chris Butcher's only in 10th place.
Carrera's been into the pits. Now, that's not because of damage to the car. He did lightly tap the right-hand side before the spin, but in fact it's going to be his tyres that forced him into the pits there. They're going to be horribly flat spotted. Also coming into the pits on that last lap was Justin van der Smissen. He is now last of the runners, and that's because he went into by himself under the tunnel. He said he wanted a challenge today, but I don't think he meant quite like that. But anyway, so those two drivers through the pits and now running last of the runners. The rest of the pack, the 20-strong main pack of runners right now, is really, well, it's relatively spread out up the front, but further back it's actually quite tightly packed. Philip Koenig still within 29 seconds of the leaders running. And Muscat's now side by side with Kardash. He's got alongside him with the DRS, and Kardash dropping back. I think he's made a mistake. I think he made a mistake on the run into that DRS zone, because suddenly he had Tom Stevens on his tail as well, and Stevens very nearly got through. And luckily didn't force the issue, because that would have ended up in a Hamilton-Webber style incident like we saw at that corner in 2011, I think it was. But Kardash getting away with it and staying P6, so there's now a car between him and his teammate Alexander Ragosa. I don't remember Ragosa being ahead of Kardash at the start of this race, actually, so Ragosa's got past Kardash more recently than that. Maybe they swapped places to allow Ragosa to get ahead and see what he was capable of doing in that position. But whatever the case, that's how they're running now. And something going on further back. I think Kasper Michalak is dropping down the order, and yes, he's had an incident. Look at that. That's at the Anderson Bridge. So Kasper Michalak missing several important pieces of bodywork, and that was actually he slammed on the brakes to avoid Jan Grankvist. That's what Jan. He slightly misjudged the gap between Jan and we're seeing a replay of it now. And now he's going to hit the wall. Oh, and he came out and got hit from behind. And that was who was that? It was Mike Bell. So Mike Bell there got a bit of a clonk, and I think he's going to be okay. No, some slight steering damage for Mike Bell, so didn't get off with it completely scot-free, but at least has kept both of his wings in that.
Yeah, indeed, unlucky there on board with Mike, but you can see just a bit of suspension damage there. Wheel pointing slightly to the right, hopefully not costing him too much time. You can see Moritz Krupp as well. With that live data in the bottom right corner, you can see the revs, the gear, the throttle and brake inputs, and the speed as well. So we can't compare what Frelik's doing, but we can see what Krupp is doing and get an idea of what he's trying to do, see how hard he's pushing. Right now, just actually dropped back a little bit from Frelik, actually, from what he was the previous lap. So maybe just starting to run out of those soft tyres a little bit. But the German driver's still pushing hard in that Nova Simracing number 41. As we ride on board with him now, you can see just a bit of a twitch on the rear end, throttle down a little bit early. Struggling for traction perhaps on the rear of the car as we head through this middle sector and into the final sector now. And, well, it looks like as well that Frelik's closed right up to Maguire. So I think Maguire may have made a mistake somewhere, because now Frelik is within DRS range of Luke Maguire. So I think potentially the lead has made a mistake, and we could be potentially having a three-way battle for the lead.
No, I've been watching these three, and I don't think there was a mistake from Maguire. It looks as if Frelik's just been reeling him in. And that last lap, well, actually, there may have been a slight mistake, because that was 9/10 quicker from Shimon Frelik there. Very nearly 9/10 quicker anyway. And Maguire's going to be vulnerable here as we approach the DRS zone, the longest DRS zone on the lap. And slightly wide, they both missed the apex slightly, but Maguire even more so. And there's actually a lap car, that's Kasper Michalak after his accident just now, just coming up ahead of them into the braking zone. Still it's Maguire from Frelik from Krupp, but there's more DRS zones on this lap, and I'm about to sneeze, so Ross, you take over for a bit.
All right, I'll let you sneeze, Caitlin. Still following around Frelik at the moment. Krupp did close in there, so it's it looks like Maguire suddenly struggling, potentially running out of tyres or just taking it easy. Maybe conserving his tyres. There is a possibility he could just be taking it easy. He knows he's in control of this race. So letting the fuel, letting the tyres just have a moment's breath as he leads on lap 8, soon to be lap 9. And just, taking it easy, allowing himself to run longer.
Sutton's off.
Oh, is he?
From 10th place. Sutton was running 10th, and he's out of the race. So George Sutton becomes our third retirement today's race, and from a good position too. What a sad sight.
Yeah, shame for Sutton. Hopefully we'll get a replay of that in a moment's time. Continuing around with this battle for a moment here, we will see a replay of what happened to Sutton, and you could just see there, so he's without a rear wing already, and then just loses it over a curb. So Sutton obviously having an incident earlier on, just losing his rear wing, and then that was that, just desperately trying to find his way back to the pits. And Frelik and Krupp both closing in on each other. Maguire still there though as they begin to come up to lapped cars. They're going to have to fight their way through this traffic. Of course, blue flags will be out. The lapped car will be instructed to move out of the way of the leaders. Oh, Frelik, that was very nearly sideways. Lots of rear angle on that one coming through that right-hander of turn 4. And it is, and again in the DRS, just not going to be close enough to have a go. Maguire was assisted by that lapped car, was able to get DRS because of that lapped car, so it was actually just helped him a little bit along there. Of course, if you are coming up behind a car in front, it doesn't matter if they're lapped, if you're lapping them or they are in front of you. Genuinely, if you are within a second of the car in front, you do get DRS within the allocated DRS zones. So that's what Maguire was able to get there. So it was able just to give him a bit of a boost down the rate. Of course, that little letterbox in the rear wing opening. Here we see a replay. Another replay. What's happened here? This is
this is Grandfist out. Grandfist crashed. What's this? He goes into the tunnel too hard. And that's him out of P11, and he gets clipped from behind. That was Remco Desjeux, who's lost his front wing. So Desjeux goes for a spin as well, and he's now going to be coming back to the pits. And Desjeux in rejoining also had a little coming together with another car coming through that turn. It looked to be Justin van der Smissen. So a big carambolage there down under the tunnel. As for George Sutton, he lost his rear wing as a result of a big twitch through turn 15, so it was all by himself, hit the wall on the outside, and that's what forced him into a spin. Shimon Frelik is now within half a second of Luke Maguire. This is the lap where he's going to attack, and it's going to be the first real opportunity he's got to overtake McIntyre. Let's see where he's going to be. He's got to get this next corner absolutely right to be in with a chance of getting through. And a mistake, and Ragosa's off. Ragosa's had a spin, and he's dropped from P4 right the way down to P8. Now let's look back up to the leaders as McIntyre attempts to keep the lead, and he does. So McIntyre keeps the lead down into to turn 6, and I'm now going to have a look back at what happened to Ragosa, because I didn't see it. I just saw him dropping down the order.
Yeah, indeed, not sure what happened there. We've got a replay of Alexander Ragosa's incident here on board with the Gallery 82. Oh, just clipped the big orange sausage curb, spins it round, keeps it out of the barrier. But that is not a curb you want to be touching, and Ragosa was a prime example of what not to do. We get it off-board just slightly wide. Oh, so he's actually already losing the rear, coming into the right-hander, which then just propelled the front wheel onto that big orange sausage curb and clipped him round. And, well, nothing you can do at that point. You are just a passenger. Frelick getting even closer to McIntyre in front. The gap just over half a second. Crop as well in the background, just lingering, just waiting. The question now that's on my mind is which one of these drivers bites the bullet? Which one of these drivers comes into the pits first? Of course, we have a mandatory pit stop here in race 1 of GPVWC Super Cup. So the question is which one of these guys decides to come into the pits first, tries and gets that undercut. Because we don't know how strong the undercut is here. It could be very strong. It could actually be not effective whatsoever. And if you do pit, you come out in traffic. Do you come out in traffic? So it's a big, when do you come in? Who comes in first? Do you follow the car in front in if they come in? It's all up in the air. 20 laps to go here as McIntyre crosses the line, this time by Frelick. Crop actually looking a bit closer to Frelick than Frelick was to McIntyre. So potentially Crop having the opportunity to have a look. Not too sure. We'll just have to wait and see heading into the second DRS zone, or the first DRS zone rather, because technically the one in the start-finish straight is the third one. As they now head down again. Frelick just poking a nose, having a look, letting McIntyre know that he's there, but he's just not quite close enough yet. Just the gap never quite appearing. McIntyre's just got enough pace to keep in front. So when Frelick comes into those braking zones where he will be making the move, if he's close enough, he isn't close enough. So, down into turn 5, that is the prime example of an overtaking spot. He's just never close enough into that corner. As he bounces over the curbs, surely doesn't do his suspension and virtual back any favours. And you can just see McIntyre. Yeah, he's actually just, I think he's just slightly sneaking ahead through the slower sections. So it's through the slower, more technical sections where McIntyre has the pace advantage. And actually, yeah, Crop really close. So Crop and McIntyre quicker through the slower sections. But Frelick seems to have the upper hand in the higher paced, quicker, more flowing sections. So you're thinking kind of coming through the first few corners. As we now come on to the end of the lap on board with third place Moritz Crop. Bouncing over the curbs as well. It's important you don't take too much curb through these chicanes, or you're going to meet the outside wall very quickly, and that'll be your day done, or until race 2 anyway. But it's also not going to do you any favours for your starting order for race 2. Of course, race 2, the starting order is if you're outside the top 15, you start where you finish in race 1. If you're inside the top 15, there is a random number pulled out of a hat, and that number is reverse grid. So if you finish in that position in race 1, say the number is 9. If you finish 9th in race 1, at the moment it's Chris Butcher. So if the race finishes now, then Chris Butcher will be on pole position for race 2. It's just totally random, because that's how we make sure it's fair, essentially. And that number will be pulled during the break between race 1 and race 2, so we will be able to confirm it to you when we come back from our short little break at the end of this race. There is Chris Butcher, as I speak from now, actually looking like he's going to have a go.
Oh, what's that?
Contact! Contact between Butcher and Ragosa coming underneath the tunnel there on the right side. Oh, that's oh my goodness me. That's Colon having to do some avoiding action as well. I don't know if there's damage, but and actually I think there was damage. So yeah, just contact between the pair of them coming together. I think Butcher just went one way, and Ragosa wasn't expecting it. They still hold position to where they were, though. We're going to get a replay of the incident on board with Chris Butcher. So coming around the right-hander now, DRS will be open. He's going to get this slipstream, get the draft. He comes to the inside, then goes to the outside. Oh, just moves too late.
No.
Collects Ragosa. Ragosa then spins back out and collects him. That is a very bizarre incident.
And great avoidance from Menno Klont, but I don't really know what Butcher was thinking there. Oh, and Klont spun at the next corner. Wow. So Clunt probably just a little too surprised by what he saw. No, he touched with Ragosa. So it looks as if Ragosa, while trying to recover from the scene, kind of got in the way a little of Menno Clunt, who then touched him and spun. So that's what happened between those two. Here we see it, amazing avoidance, but now he gets clobbered, and around he goes. So a shame for all three of those drivers who leave the scene of the crime and continue with their own races. Two of them, so Butcher didn't lose any wings there, did he? But Ragosa, of course, is going to have to pit at the end of this lap, and Butcher pits anyway. We're in the start of the pit window because we're over a third of the way into the race now, so expect to see more and more drivers piling into that pit lane. And now once again, Frelick within 0.3 of a second briefly, now within 0.4 of a second of Luke Maguire for the lead of the race. The next DRS zone is going to be a spicy one. There's even more traffic just up ahead of them. Is that Justin van der Smissen? I think it might be. Yes, it would be. So this is going to be a very important stage in the race. Butcher exits the pits in P14, just behind Gijs Sonneveld, but we know how good Butcher is on those medium tyres. He's actually started the race on medium tyres quite often in this series so far. So keep an eye on Butcher in this stint. He'd have lost quite a bit of time from that accident, but now he's on a set of tyres that he likes, and he knows he can run to the end of the race, providing nothing else happens. Now we're back with Maguire and Frelick approaching the end of the lap. Van der Smissen will be getting blue flags any second now, and then Frelick will be all over Luke Maguire as we approach the DRS zones. No, he's not. He's in the pits and going for an undercut. Ross, do you think this will work?
Well, we don't know, but it is Frelick coming into the pits first out of that lead battle. He's decided to take the plunge, lap 14 out of 30. So, well, we don't know if it's going to work. But it's, well, we'll have to wait and see. He takes the jump. It was interesting to see Crop didn't follow him in. So whether we'll be seeing the guys jump in this lap, we'll just have to see. Of course, Frelick will have the advantage of a fresh set of rubber and warm tyres if one of them jumps in this lap, but I'm just not sure what the right decision is. I genuinely don't know who's going to have the upper hand on the strategy out of Maguire and Crop and Frelick. He falls down to 6th place. He's in a nice clean bit of air as well, so that is perfect for him in the clean air. No one in front of him, so that means he can get on with it, get his foot down. He doesn't have to waste time stuck behind another car. Let's see what Maguire and Crop do at the end of this lap as we are approaching halfway distance in this race. I'd be surprised if they both stay out. I'd expect at least one of them to come in. Crop getting a bit twitchy on the exit of that left-hander as well. Crop has now closed right up to the back of Maguire as well, so I think Maguire is going to try and take these tyres as long as he can. I suspect he's just trying to conserve them, make sure they last well. Crop, though, I think is just planning to come in and change them. So I'm really not sure. Well, we'll be seeing in just a moment's time if any of them come in as they head into the final few chicanes now. Will it be Maguire? Will it be Crop? And if so, where do they come out in respect to Simon Frelick? And we're seeing now Maguire coming in. They're both in. Maguire and Crop both in. So where do they come out in responsibility? Oh, almost sliding on the way to the pits. This is huge, Caitlin.
Indeed, and I think the undercut's going to work here from Frelick, although it's getting a little by a back marker just in front of him, and a big twitch from Shimon Frelick. Also in, Jason Musker and Tom Stevens, so Patterson's going to temporarily take the lead here. Luke Maguire puts the power down, begins to exit the pits, but Frelick is coming down the start-finish straight. It's going to be close. Oh, Maguire might just keep this here. They're going to be side by side on the exit of turn 1, and Frelick takes the lead, just as I thought he might. Simon Frelick leads the race. Moritz Krop comes out behind Luke Maguire. Now, it looked to me as if Maguire was holding up Frelick and Krop, because first of all, Frelick was stuck behind him, and then Krop got closer and closer before that pit stop. So I'm not surprised that Frelick jumped in front, and now Maguire has it all to do if he's going to keep this dream of a victory alive.
Indeed, that was superbly played by Frelick. Came out in the perfect place as well. Got a little bit of traffic at the end of the lap, but it was just enough to keep him in front. That was very well timed, very well played. He takes the lead of the race with the undercuts, and now Luke Maguire Let's see what he can really do. Looked like he was just conserving his tyres towards the back end of that stint. He took pole by a very big margin in Super Cup terms anyway, and led every lap up to this point. And now it's Simon Frelick who takes the lead of this race. Crop as well, not moving down at P3.
Koenig and Patterson just came together. They were running high in the order, and they just came together down at P at turn 7, and that was over P6 between Koenig and Patterson. Big shame for the two of them both spinning around, and also one of the red arrows getting a little bit caught up on the exit, Vincent Gutt. Here we're going to see a replay of that one, and that's a little bit clumsy and all of that. Ooh.
Yeah, just very well avoided by Gutt behind, but yeah, just one driver not expecting the other drivers to have a nose up the inside. It's clumsy, but it's a classic incident. You just especially, a lot of these drivers will be running on single screen monitors. It's not like they actually sit in the car where you get full 360 degree vision, or well, what you can see with the side pods anyway, or the headrests. But it's you get a screen. Some of them will be running triple screen, some of them might be running widescreen or VR, but a lot of these drivers will be just simply running a single monitor setup, and that is very restrictive on what you can see. So you do see that incident a lot in sim racing, and it is tough and it does look clumsy, but I do feel for drivers when that happens, and it looks like they were all able to get away without any damage and without too much time lost either. Back to this lead battle though, it is still Frelick that leads the way, has now led a lap, so he can at least say that much. If Maguire retakes him, he did lead a lap, and with a very fancy undercut to boot as well. Maguire hasn't got close enough to make a move yet. I think he's just sitting there waiting to see what Frelick's doing. And we know that Maguire is not only very quick, but he's a very smart racer as well. He actually lost a lot of time coming out of that hairpin, just got a bit of a slide on, so Crop was able to close up. He's a very smart racer, so he'll be sitting there in P2 watching Frelick, watching his lines, watching where he's faster, and watching what he's doing to his tyres as well. And then he'll be deciding when it's best to make a move and where it's best to make a move. So it's only a matter of time before Maguire starts to close in for the kill. Right now, I think he's just sitting, biding his time. Crop as well will be doing the same to Maguire. They've all got they've got a very superb mentality, these front three. They are all very smart drivers. Actually, Crop was a bit wide there, but yeah, they're all just going to be sitting, waiting, biding their time. Frelick, in the meantime, is trying to run away as quickly as he possibly can. He's obviously now not got the benefit of fresh tyres. Everyone else's tyres is a lap younger than his around him, although his are more up to temperature. But his will also run out quicker. So his plan, by the looks of things, is to run away as fast as he physically can, break the DRS to Maguire behind, and then just try and sit just above that second gap. That being said, Maguire having a look down the inside, just having a think about it. Didn't go for it in the end, but letting Frelick know that he's there. So despite Frelick's best efforts, Luke Maguire still looking pacey, still in P2, and still hunting for that win.
Yes, indeed. Now, and Stevens just had a look at Muscat there. That's another fight that's going on right now. So you've got the battle for first, and then of course we've got the battle for fourth as well. Keep an eye on both of those. Koenig did come into the pits after that little collision. You see, what made that clumsy for me was not that it was a clumsy collision, because that kind of thing, it's an easy mistake to make, but they really shouldn't have been fighting each other that hard anyway, because Patterson had just made his pit stop and Koenig was yet to stop. They've both been in now. Patterson is in P7, so that's where he's running after all of that. And Koenig has lost a lot of time. He's down in P14. I'm not putting blame on either one of those drivers, but anyway. And now we've got, once again, Maguire within half a second of Shimon Frelick. This fight, this isn't just going to be as simple as, well, Frelick got caught up behind Maguire, then undercutted him and went through and won the race or whatever. This is going to be a full-on fight throughout the whole of this race. We're now over 50% of the way through, and wide went Maguire there, ran slightly over the curb. I doubt he'll get pinged for track limits there, because he didn't seem to gain any time from it. And they both pass a back marker. That looked like Kasper Michalak there coming out of the pit lane. but Maguire there not with a good enough run to get within a... I mean, he's got the DRS from Frelick up ahead, but actually he's a little more worried about Moritz Krop down that straight there. Now Galka now into the pits as well. That puts Chris Butcher up into P8, and Menno Klont will go back into the top 10 despite his little spin a few laps ago. So it looks as if the order is returning pretty much to what it's going to be effectively. What I'm interested in now is that it appears that Frelick is about to break the 1 second buffer over Luke Maguire, and I'm not sure Maguire's going to get DRS again. Let's see if he opens it on this straight. DRS, yes, so he does still have it, but he is getting further and further away from Frelick, and he's got a job to do over the remainder of this lap to keep within that range, and if not, he's going to be vulnerable.
Yeah, he is. We're still following Frelick here, of course. But, man, it's all now just on the edge of your seat, going to see what happens next, because we don't know. I was surprised Frelick got the, obviously, Caitlin, you were calling the undercut was going to work. I wasn't sure, to be honest. I thought it was the wrong move boxing early, but Frelick made it work, and now he's trying to hold on as well, and that gap is just fluctuating. One moment Maguire's right on the back, all over Frelick's gearbox. Now we're seeing it's over a second into this DRS zone. I think Maguire may just have been inside for the detection point, which is just before the last corner, but he was actually above a second up coming out of the last corner. But you see there, he's just closed up half a second through one corner. So it's anybody's guess at who's going to finish where. Still got 11 laps to go. Ooh, very nearly into the wall there, Frelick. Lots of rear sliding. We've been seeing that all race. That rear is loosey-goosey and coming through turn 4 there. That could have been disaster. Maguire thinking about it, poking a nose, but decides against it. But obviously there's a point at which there's a line between bravery diving down the inside, then stupidity and not just not making a corner. And obviously he decided that he wasn't going to make that overtake stick if he went for it. So Frelick still leading on lap 19 of 30 here in race 1 of GPVWC Supercup. Round 13 of 16 here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore, and it's been a great race so far, and we've still got plenty of action to come as well. And of course, the reverse grid race 2 to look forward to, so make sure you are sticking around. And of course, if you haven't already on the YouTube stream, make sure you hit like and subscribe. It really does help out everybody here at the GPVWC team. A lot of effort goes into organising these broadcasts and the championship, and it is greatly appreciated. And if you're new to GPVWC, want to get involved, don't be afraid to join our Discord with the link below, or head over to gpvwc-simracing.com to find out on how you can get involved if you fancy having a crack. And you never know, you could be in this situation where Luke Maguire is in a few years' time, sat in second place after a dominant pole position and trying to close the gap to the car in front, but as it stands, just not being able to do anything. Maguire is so quick through this opening section in comparison to Frelick, but Frelick then just pulls away, and I'm not sure how he's doing it without the DRS, but it just is. It just works to quite a certain game developer. And and again, lots of rear slip angle coming through turn 4. It's a very quick right-hander, one of the quickest corners on the circuit. Just deceptively quick right. Did agree, Maguire to the outside, they bang wheels. Maguire tries to stick around the outside, gets it in all sorts of sideways over the exit curb, but Maguire, that was very late on the brakes. Tried to go around the outside. Frelick gave him a squeeze, they touched wheels. So Frelick holds on to the lead, but Maguire, that seemed desperate if anything, but it was an attempt for the lead. So now Frelick surely feeling a little bit of pressure, knowing that Maguire is there and he's got the pace to have a go for an overtake if he wants to.
He went for it on the outside. Wow, I'd have gone for an attempted switchback at that point. Although the trouble with that, of course, is that the next corner is a tight right-hander. But wow, that caught me really off guard. I didn't think Luke would actually go for that. Let's take a look at a replay here. He got a very good run coming off turn 5, or turn 6 as it is. And then with the DRS, just got closer, and then launched it. Dive bomb maneuver down the outside, touched wheels with him. At that point, he'd have been thinking, oh no, where's Krop? And somehow, and Stevens and Muscat are side by side as we talk, and Muscat just holding P4 in all of that, but they were right over by the wall in that one, goodness me. So fights kicking off all the way up and down this field. Back to the leaders though, that does show desperation for me from Luke Maguire. and it shows that this track may be slightly harder to overtake at than I thought. It's not quite so simple as just setting up your opponent and then going for it, because otherwise I don't think he'd have settled for the outside line there. Meanwhile, Kasper Michalak appears to be out of this race. He's been having an accident-packed one. It's been eventful the whole way through, and now he appears to have either given up or crashed or something along those lines. I'll take a quick look at what appears to have happened further down. We're seeing a replay of something here. Is this the Kasper Michalak situation? Yes, it is. It's in the final corner, and he's going to overcook it, is he? No, he's okay through there, so maybe it happened... Oh! And he's given up. He's given up and he's crashed into the wall. And that's outrageous. That is outrageous. Coming straight back across the line after seemingly... Well, that must have been equipment failure, surely, because I don't think he'd have done that. Yeah, surely that must have been equipment failure, because I don't think he'd have done that on purpose. But if so, then he's definitely got something to answer for that.
Yeah, very bizarre incident. I'm going to have to agree with you. I think that might be a wheel failure or pedal failure, or just maybe even a particularly big screen freeze or something, not too sure, but something I think has clearly gone wrong on his end, and it's not a driver failure. Of course, you see a lot of people complaining about wheel failures and internet failures and so on and so forth in sim racing and how it's not fair, but my response to that is it's just like having a mechanical failure in real life, because obviously you don't get nearly as much mechanical issues in sim because it's just simply not modelled into the game, because it would be too expensive on performance to model, the fatigue and the wear of every single detail in the car into the game. You'd need a NASA supercomputer to even run a hot lap, let alone a 20-something car race here at Marina Bay. So yeah, that's my argument for that. So it's just had just say you've had a mechanical failure there, but yeah, very weird incident. Hopefully they're able to come back for race 2. But yeah, that's our fifth, sixth DNF, something like that of the night here in race 1. McGuire again getting very close on the brakes into turn 5 as we cut back to this lead. Bassel Crop starting to fade away. McGuire though is now really starting to hammer on the pressure onto Simon Frelich. It's getting closer and closer each lap, starting to get to the point we can have a dive into the braking zones. We're well, in the DRS zones, it's when Frelich needs to be careful, needs to be a bit scared, if anything, because, well, McGuire looking very quick at this phase in the race. We will have 8 laps to go. Again, DRS range here. This could be an overtaking attempt from McGuire. If he's close enough into the braking zone, I don't think he will be. No, he's not. Yeah, DRS down there I don't think is quite powerful enough. It's very, very powerful coming out of turn 4. So that under that kink, under the bridge, it's a very, very powerful DRS on there, but the second and third DRS is not too bad. So Frelich can just hold on there for the time being. But it is currently, he's still leading this race. McGuire though, just sitting over 4 tenths back, coming into the final few corners now. So it's well, we'll just have to see what they can do. Around the final turn, and losing time there just in the dirty air in the slipstream. But immediately gaining it back, and I'm really not sure who's quicker. McGuire seems to have so much pace, but Frelich is holding on sublimely as they head through the first section. And on their run down into turn 4. And after this is McGuire's time to strike once again. He's starting to run out of laps, potentially run out of tyres as well. DRS will be open. This could be it. On board with our championship leader, the driver in second place, McGuire gaining massively. Will you have a look? He goes to the outside late on the brakes. Oh no, there's contact between the pair of them. They manages to keep it going. Crop has to avoid, and maybe Crop might be getting round. No, he doesn't. So McGuire keeps second. Somehow, both of them kept pointing the same way and out of the wall, but that could have been disastrous for the pair.
And that's the second time they've locked wheels in that very, very dangerous way. And I've got no idea how at least one of them didn't go around there. But my goodness, Luke McGuire went for it once again, just as he'd done on the previous lap. Here's the replay coming up. And then Menno Claude, well, sorry, Moritz Krop, would have been looking at that and going, oh, it's my time, it's my time. No! As the door just closed in front of him. And he would, it would be like seeing a villain. It would be like being a villain in a movie or something and thinking, yes, I finally destroyed this protagonist, for him just to come back from the dead after being alive all along or something like that. as they both just saved that impossible situation up in front of him. Shimon Frelick continues to lead this race. Luke McGuire is second, and by my reckoning, I don't think either of them have steering damage, so they are very, very lucky.
Yeah, they certainly are. Looks like everyone got away with it very cleanly. Maguire's going to be too far back to have a go this time unless Frelick makes a mistake coming through the first section. So it's going to be yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. I think Maguire's going to have a lot of hard work to do and get his way back up to the back of Simon Frelick. 7/10, it was 4/10 the last time they headed into this DRS zone. So it's going to be not quite close unless he wants a big lunge again. So closing, but just not getting close enough again. Yellow flags out somewhere, and they're gone as quickly as they arrived. So it's a bit of a wobble there for Simon Frelick as well. So it's back in Frelick's hands. Props fallen back massively as well. 1.2 seconds off of Maguire. So let's get a replay of something here. This is Daniel Felipe Carrera. What's happened here? This must be the source of the yellow flag. Coming into the left-hander. Just too much speed. And losing the rear end. He's done that once already. Actually made contact with the barrier this time. Just too much speed. Loses the rear, of course. Most of the weight of this car is situated at the rear, being mid-engined. So you don't expect to lose the rear a lot of the time. So you just turn in and then suddenly, bang, you're facing the wrong way. Which is unfortunate for him. But, c'est la vie, it happens. Maguire looking a little bit closer this time. Just a little bit closer as they come into the final section. And maybe he'll be able to have a go this time. It will be 5 laps to go at the line. So we'll just have to see what Maguire can pull out of the bag this time, of course. Frelick has held firm so far. He's put on a very stoic defence. He's let Maguire know that he is not letting him pass, but Maguire is also a driver that doesn't take no for an answer. That was a little bit wide and a little bit illegal, but we'll pretend we didn't see that. I actually don't think he gained any time, though. Actually, yeah, he did lose 1/10 of a second through that corner, so it's fine. Of course, corner cutting only applies when you gain time. If you lose time, there's no point applying a penalty because you've lost time anyway. And there's actually 8/10 back this time coming into the DRS range. Croppy's within a second of Maguire once again, so we'll have DRS, but there won't be any overtakes this time. This is Stevens and Muscat in the battle for 4th place. Stevens all over the rear wing of Muscat in P4. And he will be getting DRS as well, so we could very well be seeing an overtake down into turn 5 here. Coming under the bridge, DRS wide open. Does he go to the inside? Yes, he does. Already drawing alongside on the brakes. Actually doesn't hit the brakes later than Muscat, so Muscat defending well there. And so Muscat holds on to 4th for the time being. And Maguire, actually, I just saw for a second there in the top left, was outside of DRS range of Frelick. So Frelick has started to pull away from Maguire, Caitlin.
Indeed. It's good that Daniel Felipe Carrera managed to get going when he did, because he's still running in a points-paying position there, P15. Did Luke just touch the wall there? I think he slightly tagged the wall out of that previous corner, but still appears to be okay. You can just about get away with that sometimes on this circuit, but you don't want to risk it because it just takes a slight miscalculation and to just snag a wheel and get some serious damage here. But anyway, towards the end of another lap, Luke Maguire, let's see what his gap is to Frelick as he attacks the curbs into the final corner there. You can tell he's getting frustrated. He still has the DRS. It's about 7/10 of a second as he crosses the start-finish line that last time around. Moritz Kropp dropped back a little on that last lap. Although at this point, it's not really about pace anymore, it's about racecraft. And we know that all 3 of these drivers have racecraft by the bucket load. Behind them, Muscat and Stevens still even closer. My goodness, those two, they don't appear to have been holding station like Frelick, Maguire and Kropp have. They appear to have just been taking chunks out of each other, metaphorically, of course. No actual contact that I've seen just yet, but they have been a lot together for lap after lap. Big twitch from Muscat. I think Stevens might have an attempt this time around with the DRS open down towards turn 7. This is a danger zone on the track, and he goes up the inside, and they're going to come together. They do. They bang wheels multiple times, and Muscat keeps the position by running wide. Now, he'll argue that he was entitled to that because Stevens was forcing him off the road, and Stevens will argue that Muscat gained an unfair advantage. Let's take a look at the replay. This is from on board Tom Stevens' car. as he approached the rear of Jason Muscat, and then he decided to go to the inside. He had a choice of either side, but that caused him to lose control and bump into the side of Muscat, potentially forcing him off the road. So they stay in those positions. Maybe taking chunks out of each other wasn't quite as metaphorical as I said.
Yeah, exactly. I think just looking there, Stevens just slightly lost the rear end into turn 5. Just a bit too much speed. Maguire's closed that gap right back up. 4/10 of a second, excuse me, as they cross the line. Actually, 3/10. So he's very, very close. So we could be seeing another move potentially in the DRS zone. He's actually closer than he's been, I think, all race long to Frelick in front. So this might be last chance saloon for Maguire unless he can stay with him. DRS is open. Here we go. We'll be seeing more contact between the pair of them. Will Maguire even have a look? He has a look to the inside. No, decides against it this time. There's still 3 laps to go. Lap 27 of 30 here in race 1. So plenty of opportunity to make that move. But Maguire, the lap counter continues to tick down, and he's starting to run out of time. So there is still opportunities, but he's starting to run out. Here we can see the battle for the final points position between Felipe Carrera and Phil Haugsvik. Phil Haugsvik, who's been doing a pretty solid job this race. Been quiet, but effective, I think is the term I use. And he's actually getting lapped by his teammate there. So the lead battle goes through. Maguire having a look there into the right-hander. So Maguire still close, under 3/10 of a second away at the apex of that corner. A little bit wide as well by Frelick on the entry. So Frelick potentially starting to feel the pressure from our championship leader. Frelick, of course, has been, well, he's been quiet this season. His best result was 3rd in race 2 at Azerbaijan. That's the only time he's finished on the podium as well. So Simon Frelick is in the hot seat, and he's got championship leader, the driver, looking for 3 race wins in a row. You can see there on his just above his steering wheel, it says race wins hastily scribbled on with what looks like Microsoft Paint. He's got 6 to his tally as it stands. Can he make that 7 here today? Lap 28 of 30 coming through turn 4. He will have DRS once again. It's 3.5 of a second at the corner apex. DRS wide open, 4/10 back. That gap is just going to tumble. Coming into turn 5, does he go for the move? Frelick goes defensive on the inside. Frelick switches to the outside. Maguire looks to the inside, but can't quite make it this time. So he's going to have to try again. That seems to be the only place where Maguire can get close enough. So as it stands, he's got 2 laps left to do it. Lap 29 and then the final lap on lap 30. Prop, meanwhile, I think he's just suddenly hoping that these two come together again. Because if that happens, he's then suddenly in position for a race win. He's not looking like he's got the place to challenge Maguire, although he is sticking with the back of the pack of the lead 2. So, he's currently in P3. Obviously, he'd, love for the guys in P1 and 2 to come together so he can get P1. Here is a replay. Oh, Justin van der Smissen having a spin down in 19th place. He did start from the pit lane on his own accord. Of course, he's been invited into this race again as a replacement. So this is the second time this season. He made an appearance at Magny-Cours, did the same thing, started from the pit lane. I think his official reason is A, he wants to keep clean from other collisions and make mistakes on his own, apparently. No offense, Justin, I know you watch this back, I'm just joking, mate. But also, I think he just wants to get experience with the car is the main thing. He doesn't want to jump into the deep end. And while it's great, testing and all that, as we see Frelick having a big toe break down the main straight, I think he just wants to get used to the car. There's no point trying to race people when you're not used to the car yet, by his reckoning. He is a man of practice. So I think he's just taking these rounds to get used to the car, get used to its pace, get used to its limits, and then when he does finally come in, I think actually be ready for the racing. I think Frelick actually may have touched the wall there, and it's lost him a huge heap of time because Maguire's alongside him, heading into the braking zone. This is the perfect opportunity for Luke Maguire. He's getting bumped over the curb. He almost spins. Crop gets through on the outside, but Maguire holds the inside line. So Frelick Frelic's got it wrong on the corner exit. Crop takes the lead of the race. I don't believe what I've just seen. Frelick bumped Maguire out. Maguire nearly spins. Crop gets through. Frelick then spins. Crop takes the lead of the race on the penultimate lap. Crop gets it wrong. No. Crop almost spins. What am I seeing? Crop somehow is still in the lead. Suddenly, this race has gone mental. What am I watching? How has Crop still got the lead of the race? I have no idea. It's Crop from Maguire, from Frelick, and
a big dive.
There goes Maguire down the inside. Does he get the move? He does. It's Luke Maguire back into the race lead after what has seemed an eternity. Oh, mate, Crop, I feel bad because he's been in the lead half a lap and Maguire gets through and Frelick trying to get past as well. I think there may have been a bit of contact there. Oh my goodness me, what a chaotic half lap. And it will be Maguire leading the way onto the final lap of the race.
Russ, it's exactly what you spoke about, where Moritz Crop was just sitting behind them waiting for something to happen, and it did happen, and suddenly it's all kicked off. This is going to be a frenetic final lap as the top three are separated by less than a second coming on to the final couple of kilometers. This is fantastic stuff. They're going to have 3 more DRS zones, well, 2.5, and here comes the first of them. Let's see who gets the better run. Maguire got a little twitchy on the entrance. Crop got a little twitchy midway through the corner. Frelick's too far back to challenge. Let's see what Crop does. Surely he's going to go for it now. He's going to go for it. To the outside he goes. Around the outside he doesn't find the escape road. He's still there. He's on the inside. And it's a right-hander. He's going to make it. They're in the wall. They're in the wall. Jim and Frelick takes the lead. They've crashed. Moritz Crop has bounced off the wall. He's facing backwards. He's lost his front wing. And I've got to say, I am not surprised at all that happened. Shimon Frelick is going to win after what has been a phenomenal race. Crop still crashing.
Huge damage to Crop's suspension. He's going to get done for 4th, I think, potentially, over the rest of this lap. But it is going to be Simon Frelick, if he holds on, that wins this race. I cannot believe my eyes. What a chaotic ending to race 1 here at GPVWC Supercup, round 13 at Singapore. Frelick, who played his strategy perfectly, then makes the mistake, gets barged out wide. Maguire goes through, then Maguire makes a mistake. Crop goes through, Maguire back through, and then there's contact between Crop and Maguire, and Frelick, with just a few corners to go, has held on and survived the chaos, and he's going to round the final corner after what has been a chaotic final 2 laps, and it will be Simon Frelick who takes this first win in GPVWC Supercup, and you can see he is delighted with that. It will be Luke Maguire who takes 2nd place. Will Crop hold on for 3rd? I don't know. Where is Muscat? There's Muscat! Muscat might just get him at the line. Crop desperately trying to hold on. He's crabbing down the straight. Muscat gets through. Muscat's going to get 3rd place. Crop falls down to 6th. So Jason Muscat gets 3rd at the line. It's heartbreak for Crop. But Simon Frelick has played that perfectly.
Well, I don't want to spoil the party, but oh, my apologies. I don't want to spoil the party, but the Iceberg makes a very good comment in the YouTube chat. I wonder who will win this after penalties. Wow, these are very provisional results, I've got to say. But Moritz Crop, they're very unlucky to lose 3rd at the final corner and drop to 6th. What a race! And I've got to say, Shimon Frelick really deserved that, because I don't think that. Oh, I'm so sorry. Russ, you're gonna have to take over.
I'll take over, Caitlin. I think you're so excited you've started choking. I almost did the same. Moritz Crop, heartbreak, down to P6 after that contact on the final lap of the race. Oh, and you can see there on the just what a shame. This was him in the lead earlier on when he took the lead and then somehow held on to the lead after drifting his way through. Then Maguire immediately got back through. Back into the lead of the race, and then Crop was not taking enough answers. This is the 2nd to last lap, so on board now with Moritz Crop. This is where they came together. So Crop with the DRS down the back straight, he went for the move into turn 5, held it around the outside. It was a lovely little move down the outside. Managed to hold on there. Luke McGuire's inside was a bit sideways as well. And Crop was thinking, I've almost got it. Just got to hold it to the inside. Tries to close the door on Maguire. Maguire is still there. Doesn't back out. They're both into the wall. Crop spins round and hits the other wall as well. Big damage to both Maguire and Crop. Frelich gets through cleanly. So Frelich wins the race. Crop falls down to 6th at the end of this. Oh, just heartbreak. I cannot believe Moritz Crop. Oh, what a shame. He went from contesting for the lead to 6th place in about a lap. Big shame. Here is on board with Muscat as he got the P3 move at the line. Quite literally, Crop just ran wide and he just drifted by on the inside. Oh, you can't help but feel bad for Moritz Crop there. It is a big shame. But wow, yeah, big shame there for Moritz Crop, but wow, what a finish we have seen here for race 1 of GPVWC Supercup. Simon Frelich taking his first win of the season. Luke McGuire coming home with P2 after that crash with Moritz Crop. Jason Muscat in P3, then it's Stevens, Kardash and Crop. Big heartbreak, then Craig Patterson P8. Chris Butcher managed to work his way back up into P8, then Klont and Galka rounding out the top 10. Then moving further down the grid, it's Vincent Gutt in 11th, Guy Sonneveld, who with a 5-place grid penalty as well, he's done well to get up to 12th, and it's Ragota in 13th. Philip Koenig in 40th. I believe he started from the pit lane, so he's done very well. Owen Phil Haugsvig in 15th. Daniel Felipe Carrera in 16th. Then it's Bell and Desiree, the PB Racing guys, in 17th and 18th. Justin van der Smissen was the last of our runners in 19th. And then we had a whole host of DNS. It was Mick Lack, who was classified 20th. Well, he wasn't classified, but he's 20th on the standings. Then Grankfist, Sutton, Voss, and Vicentijevic all not finishing the race. But they will get another chance here, of course. We've got race 2 reverse grid, so make sure you're sticking around for that. We will just go to a short break for a few moments while we wait for the organisation of that race to get underway. So make sure you're sticking around. But my oh my, if race 1 was anything to go off of, the reverse grid race is going to be absolutely electric. So just hold on for a few minutes and we'll be back with you in a short moment.
Okay, welcome back everyone to GPVWC Cup, and as we prepare for the start of the second race, let's look back quickly on what was a frenetic and fantastic first race. Of course, Shimon Frelick eventually the winner for the first time this season, ahead of Luke McGuire and Jason Muscat taking the podium, despite the accident towards the end of the race. It's going to be Meadow Clont on pole position for the reverse grid, and let's take you through that order very shortly. So Clont will be first, followed by Chris Butcher, and then Craig Patterson and Moritz Kropp. Reverse grid number was 9, as you can see. Damien Kardash will be starting from P5, followed by Tom Stevens, and then Jason Muscat, Luke McGuire, and Shimon Frelick. Our race 1 winner with a lot to do, followed by Michal Galka from P10, of course. Then it's going to be Michal Galka, Vincent Gutt, and then Heis Sonneveld, P11, and P12. Alexander Ragosa is P13, then it's Philip Koenig, Owen Phil Haugsvik, and Daniel Felipe Guerrero fighting for the lower points paying positions. And just out of that, with a lot to gain, Mike Bell, Rinko De Gio, Justin van der Smissen will be starting from the pits once again, as is customary, and then it's Casper Michalak from P20. We're getting down to the retirements from the first race. George Sutton, P21, Tom Voss, P22, Halio Vicentievich, P23, and we appear to have lost a car, so one of the cars...
Yeah, that's Jan Grankvist. I've just seen he's had some VR problems in race 1, obviously racing with VR, so he's decided to not participate in this race.
Fair enough, and as you heard, Ross McIntyre back again for race 2. Ross, what a fantastic first race that was.
Oh, I'm still trying to recover over the last 2 laps. My goodness me, we were being teased the entire race long with a 3-way fight, and then finally it all kicked off, and it came to a rather climactic conclusion. I think is the right way to put it, as everyone crashed into everyone and was spinning out, and it was absolute chaos. But as you said, Simon Frelick winning this one, and it was Meadow Clont off pole. And I'm going to be honest, Caitlin, with a prediction, I think this is Chris Butcher's race to lose. It's a race he has to win for the championship, especially given his poor form in comparison to his teammate. And going off a second place, he was showing some good pace in race 1. It is vital that he wins this race, and I also think that he will win this race. But again, race 1 was chaos. There's no pit stop in race 2, so we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, he definitely stands a very good chance here. Chris, of course, would have finished higher without that incident, probably. Although he did well to even finish 8th with that. Although even so, slightly anonymous in race 1. I'm actually going to be really brave and say... Well, actually, before... Yeah, okay, Before the broadcast started, I said Luke McGuire. Okay, I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to be brave and stick with Luke McGuire as we get the 5 red lights before the start of the second race of the day. And as soon as they go out, which they do now, Meadow Clont will lead us away from pole position. Not quite as good a start as the leader got in race 1. Chris Butcher's going to be up his inside, and he's still there, and he's forcing Clont slightly off the road. It might be Chris Butcher leading turn 3, leading out of turn 3. Kropp and Patterson side by side further back, and it looks as if it's been a clean start. Oh, and a touch from behind. Butcher there got slightly assaulted by Moritz Kropp on the exit too. A slight contact, but they seem to have got away with it. Kropp weaving around, trying to make sure he hasn't got any damage. They're almost 3 wide down into turn 7, and Clont keeps the lead just about. Great defensive driving from Meadow Clont there. Was there contact further back? Well, they're 3 wide with Patterson and Stevens, and somehow they get away with it. And Patterson touches Stevens, and Stevens very nearly goes into the wall and saves it, Russ.
How that was not a massive accident on the run into turn 5, I have no idea. There was a bit of wheel banging, someone nearly in the wall there as well. There's someone going around there as well. I thought maybe nope, all clean. But yeah, I genuinely thought that was going to be a big accident. Oh no, that was someone in the wall there in that lead pack. Oh no, there's several people that front wing. I think Chris Butcher doesn't have a front wing. So something big's happened at the front of the pack.
Oh, Tom Stevens. Yeah, Stevens and McGuire are both involved. So Stevens and McGuire are involved. Butcher's okay, but it's the other top drivers in this pack who have seemingly come together somehow.
All right, so yeah, this is in the mid-pack, apologies, but McGuire's had a big incident. This is dramatic, because if Butcher then goes on to finish well in this race, McGuire has to come in for a new front wing. That could really shake up the championship. Suddenly, Butcher, this is a race that not only does he have to win, he can't afford to not win, because this is golden opportunity to close right back up to his teammate in the championship. It will be Klont that leads lap 1. As they come to the line, Butcher, even though apologies, right there on him. He's already having a look into turn 1. Of course, no DRS until lap 3. Krop is right behind as well. Krop, of course, had that heartbreak in race 1. He will be wanting to fix that. He will be wanting a good result here in the sprint race, as we're well, it's not really a sprint race, it's 20 laps, but it's it's the shorter of the 2 races anyway. 100 kilometers to 150 kilometers in race 1. Butcher is very close. Yeah, Butcher very close. Butcher going to the outside already. Will Butcher be better on the brakes? No, he isn't. Klont holds on. Sorry, Clayton, you were saying.
No, it's okay. Keep looking at the leaders. They're almost going side by side once again, and that's all of them seem to very nearly come together. They seem to accordion up, going down into the right-hander. That was great stuff. Now, what I was saying there was Remco de Thieu went for a bit of a spin, seems to have lost his front wing. Also, Mike Bell came into the pits in that last lap, but I don't think he was involved in the incident between Maguire and Stevens, because he appears to have dropped back before that all happened. So both PB Racing cars in trouble there. But anyway, back to the leaders. Klont versus Butcher versus Krop. Patterson and Frelick side by side. So Frelick, our race 1 winner, trying to get positions back, and he's going to be on the outside line. No DRS just yet, but he's still there as they go towards turn, is that 14? And I'm not quite able to get past Patterson that time around, but he was very, very close there and giving it a good shot. Some fantastic points from Shimon Frelick being put on the board with today's racing. I tell you what, with his race 1 victory, he will be over the moon basically wherever he finishes in the second race. And he'll feel that he's got much less to lose now. So towards the end of another lap, DRS will be available from basically, well, not quite as soon as they cross the finish line, but the next DRS zone. And Butcher took a little look at Klont in turn 1 there, so not even settling for a DRS zone. He's hounding him all the way around this lap, and now he's going to get his best opportunity yet on the exit of turn 5 this time around. DRS will open, and he will get the overspeed. He'll get the slipstream. He has less drag than Klont. He goes to the outside line, and he's going to be well and truly ahead of Klont's car as they make the braking zone. Klont goes a little sideways, but saves it, and Butcher leads the race.
Indeed, I thought there was actually contact there between Klont and Butcher, and already Klont getting absolutely swamped by Krop. Behind Krop goes up to P2. Oh, and there goes as well going through. My goodness me, Ragota goes up to, I think that goes up to P3. They are all sliding through. Klont now, whose day is just taking a bit of a downturn. Lap 3 of 20, still plenty of action. Krop is desperate to make up for that race 1 heartbreak. And well, there's a crisp, but it was Kardash, apologies, not Ragota, that went through. And Krop is desperate to get past Butcher. He's already all over the back of the leading driver. And well, Krop, we know he's got a lot of pace from race 1, and well, he's desperate to make up for that heartbreak, as I previously said, but he's also under attack from Kardash in P3. We've already got another 3-way fight for the lead on our hands. Klont doing a great job of being a bottleneck for Patterson behind. Clearly just not got the pace as it stands. We're going to continue to follow around Krop on this lap. Butcher will lead lap 3. But will he stay ahead as they go on to lap 4? We'll just have to find out. It's 5/10 back is Krop. Kardash only 2/10 back from Krop. So Krop may actually have to go on the defensive from Kardash. Oh, but he's close right up in the braking zone as well. So we simply have no idea who's going to be leading this race at the moment, because these three are so close together. Let's hope there isn't any instance like there was at the back end of race 1, especially for Moritz Krop, who will be actually got very close to the wall there from the German driver. But DRS now wide open for the Nova Simracing man. He's going to be closing right up to the back of Butcher. Will he be close enough? No, he will not. So he's going to have to wait another lap. It is still Butcher from Krop, from Kardash at the moment, down into turn 5. That is where the moves are. We are not seeing moves anywhere else on the track. We've got a replay here. Wonder who this is for. This is on board with Mike Bell at the start. Apparently he's in Colin Matyak's car for reasons I'm not quite sure of. Ignore that. So on board from the start. Got away okay. Could have been a bit better. Dive down the inside of some drivers here. Oh, nearly 4 wide there as well. Oh, and who was that guy? Oh, dear me. So we didn't have a clean start. A few drivers facing the wrong way. That was owing Phil Haugsvig there. as well, facing the wrong way. Replay of Tom Stevens here as well. That was him getting done. Oh, and getting tagged around there, Stevens. That was Maguire. So that was the Maguire incident between Maguire and Stevens, where they lost their front wings. So that's what happened there. Yeah, just tagged around. It's very easy to do that in the mid-pack. Of course, these guys have already had one race. They're already frustrated. So Maguire, what happened? Did he just poke a nose? Oh, yeah, there was a gap there, and it just disappeared. There was a wall. I assume Stevens just didn't see Maguire either. Yeah, that gap suddenly vanished, and bang. Oh, and that was Dezou going around as well. So lots of drama in the opening few laps. Obviously, these guys have already had a 30-lap race one. They're already hot and tired and sweaty, and have probably had enough, to be brutally honest, of the Marina Bay street circuit. And now they're being made to go around again. So if you're in the mid-pack, the emotions, the tensions are running high. So it's not a surprise that we're seeing a few more incidents here.
Big twitch from Moritz Krop as they go out onto the straight this time around.
George Sutton. That was
yes.
Sutton. Replay of George Sutton. Oh, dear.
And Sutton's now out of this race, so Sutton becomes our first retirement as a result of the accident. And up in front, Butcher made a mistake there. Butcher went too wide going into turn 6. And Krop got alongside him ever so briefly. So Butcher here may have got through relatively quickly into the lead of this race, but he's certainly not away and dry in this race yet. Moritz Krop and Damien Kardash and Menno Klon, they're all in a DRS chain. In fact, the DRS chain goes all the way down to, well, it's outside the top 10. My goodness. So we have a proper snake up in front of this race here, with Chris Butcher leading them, but only just, and he's leading them very conservatively. Meanwhile, I did take a look at the Stevens, and actually Stevens just set the first lap of the race there, so obviously not content to just sit back and console himself after that accident. He's now going and comes together with Koenig. Stevens and Koenig have crashed, and surely Stevens is going to retire from the race now, because that's 2 big incidents he's had, and there's not really going to be much point in continuing now, apart from maybe to pick up an even faster lap. But his day goes from bad to worse, and there's no way that he's going to get points in the second race after that one. Here's a replay of the Stevens-Koenig accident. It's very similar to the Maguire-Krop accident in race 1. It's almost a carbon copy of that one, except with slightly worse results for both drivers. And Koenig gets a little swipe into the side of Stevens just to add salt to the wounds. Anyway, back up front, Krop once again trying to line up Chris Butcher as they head towards the DRS zone. First of 3 on this lap. Butcher tries to break the slipstream very, very early, pull right the way across. He's definitely feeling the pressure now. Krop to the outside, trying to make up for race 1, and he's going to go over the escape road, over the sausage curb, and lose second place to Damien Kardash. He's still on the inside, and he touches him, and Kardash does get the P2.
Yeah, Kardash, lucky to not go around there. Krop just poking a nose up the inside, desperate to hold on to P2. Just touch the Gallery 82 driver, so Kardash gets through. Butcher, I don't know, he just seems to be struggling, but he's still holding the lead. And my prediction, as it stands for Butcher winning this race, will hold firm, and it is only just over a course of the way through this race. And of course, it's GPVWC Super Cup. Anything can happen, and judging by the state of that first race, something will happen. So it's not going to be an easy ride to the end from Butcher. Kardash and Krop both got a lot of pace in them. Krop, as we've been saying, is desperate to make up for that heartbreak from race 1. But Kardash now is up into P2. Well, I'm not sure if he's going to be focusing on defending or focusing on putting the pressure on Chris Butcher, who's, to be fair, has been absorbing that pressure so far from Krop when Krop was in P2, just taking it. He's not been quick, but he's been consistent. Just been sitting there in the lead. He knows it's his race. He knows he's controlling it. He isn't taking anything from behind. Kardash further away from Butcher than Krop was on the previous lap. As they head into the first turn, Krop might be actually having to have a look round Kardash this time to try and get back up into P2. He is looking very close. It was 4/10 at the last delta point between the pair of them. Visually, it looks a lot closer, and it's just updated to 3.5 there, as they now come onto the DRS range, and it will be, you can see there, that little letterbox rear wing wide open. Is Krop going to have a go? Kardash defensive to the inside. Krop does not look
Heigo's Butcher, he's off the road,
right.
and Kardash is alongside him on the outside. Now who's it going to be? Do they get squeezed on the exit? Luckily, no, they don't, and Kardash gets the lead. So with that mistake from Chris Butcher, the lead has changed once again. He's coming back at it, down towards turn 8, the old turn 8 that is, to the inside, and it's still Damien Kardash. Goodness me, so still the race absolutely fast and furious. Meanwhile, further back, I'm afraid we've lost Daniel Felipe Carrera. He was running well, but he's crashed out of 12th position. And Philip Koenig has retired after his incident with Tom Stevens. Meanwhile, it kind of looks like Stevens is leading this race because he is out in front of the pack, albeit a lap down. Meanwhile, Vincent Gutt has just, and Frelick, I think, has made a mistake because Frelick is, well, he's side by side with Gutt. They're banging wheels now, but Frelick was a lot higher up than he is now. He's down into 10th place all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's not great for our race 1 winner, Simon Frelick.
Oh, he spun.
Oh, yes.
He spun on the Anderson Bridge after contact with Damien Kardash. He got touched from behind, and both of them kind of went around.
Yeah, well, we've got a replay here. And yeah, here's the onboard of Butcher. Just ran wide out of turn 5. Gay actually gave Kardash a lot of room. We've been seeing drivers being very aggressive on the defence out of turn 6, really squeezing drivers to the wall, and that's where the incidents have been happening because drivers are just not relenting. Butcher was very fair, gave Kardash a lot of room on the outside, and that was the incident with Ragota going round. So Ragota's gone round, I think.
Yeah, with Frelick.
Yeah, so Frelick and Ragota must have had contact maybe somewhere. I think that's what happened. There's a Frelick on the inside of Gut there. So yeah, I presume that Ragota and Frelick have just had a coming together and gone straight on at a hairpin. So I don't think there was I'm not sure entirely. There is on board with Simon Frelick as he tried to go down the inside of Gut. And oh yes, there was just a bit of wheel banging, a bit of side pod bashing. But yeah, all clean through there. So I think there was just contact heading into the hairpin.
Yeah.
And they both just went straight on.
Well, I should correct myself. I said that it was Kardash and Frelick, but it was actually Ragosa and Frelick. Of course, Kardash still leading this race, and he's now leading this race by over a second. Goodness, but yeah, indeed, it was contact between the two of them, and both of them got off pretty badly. With Ragosa now P11 and Frelick P9, having just got past Vincent Gutt. So that is how the order stands. Moritz Kropp, of course, now on the podium. Craig Patson is elevated into the top 5. Menno Klont in between the two of them. And Damien Kardash, it does appear that he was being held up by Chris Butcher because he is now starting to accelerate away into the distance. We've seen that all the way throughout this race and this day, with THR cars getting in front and then suddenly everyone getting bunched up behind them. I wonder what or why that is. But anyway, onto another lap of racing. Moritz Kropp all over the back of Chris Butcher, and if that is the case, that Butcher will be up Kardash, then it may be important that Kropp gets past Butcher as quickly as he possibly can, because otherwise he's going to get held up too, and Kardash will be long gone. Here we go, DRS open on the back of Moritz Kropp's car, heading down the straight. Further back, Voss just got past Ragosa into the braking zone. Kropp to the outside, they touch wheels. They do touch wheels, but somehow get away with it again, and Butcher stays P2, so that's good to see. Justin van der Smissen, wow, he's up to P12 in this race, just passing Alexander Ragosa now. So van der Smissen from the pit lane has suddenly got the hang of this circuit, and Shimon Frelick gets past Heis Sonneveld because he's now P8. So Frelick once again on a recovery drive. We're now watching on board with Chris Butcher. This is a replay of his defense of Moritz Kropp, and that second position. He'll be on the inside with Kropp on the outside. Oh, and they do bang wheels. And Kropp just kind of disappears from view, which would have been relieving for Chris Butcher, to say the least. Although it does still mean that this battle is on, with over half of the race still to go here.
Yeah, Kropp just hounding Butcher at the moment. Look how close it is. Kardash, 3 seconds up the road now. He is bolted away, and Kropp in the wall! Big slide from Kropp into the wall. Doesn't look like there's any damage, but that's going to lose him a lot of time. So yeah, so Butcher's just bottlenecking Kropp at the moment, who obviously would love to win. He was obviously leading early on, completely cuts turn 1, but will allow it because I'm not a steward. Yeah, just Butcher, Kropp just needs to get through. He might be slightly faster than Kardash, but we are halfway through this race. And as it stands, it's going to be Kardash just pulling away even further. And again, Butcher just leading the way as they head out into turn 5. So it's not going to be an attempt this time round. But, you know, honestly, it's a big shame. It's a big shame there. And here we see Crop, yeah, just into the wall there. Yeah, big shame there for him. But hopefully he's able to catch back up to Butcher. He's already within 3/10 heading down this straight here. No DRS, though, as he heads through. So, yeah, Butcher at the moment just bottled it. Oh, no! Crop in the wall!
Yeah, Crop lost it. Crop lost it, and it was only the wall that saved him from going all the way around there. Well, actually, I'm being a little unfair on him. He tagged the wall after just about correcting it. And I think he'll get away without too much damage, but that's going to affect his race because now he's not even within DRS range of Butcher. And Kardash is leading this race by 3.5 seconds. So here's a replay of that, with Crop just getting crossed up and touching the wall on the right-hand side. And he just, as we were watching that replay, got a little crossed up through another of the right-handers. So Crop's struggling a little at this point in time, possibly with slight damage. He's now going to have to fend off Clont, Patterson, Galka, everyone that's coming with that little bunch of cars. So he's now got a chain on his rear end.
Yeah, indeed. Very bizarre incident there. So now Butcher doesn't have to absorb much more pressure for the time being. Crop is now on the defensive instead. So Kardash 3.2 up the road from Butcher in P2, Crop in P3 4.7 away from the leader. So it's well, yeah, well, it's not been as incident glory as the last 2 laps of race 1, but it's individual incidents instead of all people coming together here in the sprint race. Lap 11 of 20 here at race 2, round 13 of 16 here in the GPVWC Super Cup. At the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore. There we can see Patterson was having a go on Clont, who started from pole and very quickly fell back. Patterson doing what he can, but again, Clont, another one of those drivers who's just been a spectacular bottleneck, doing a great defensive job and just leading to lots of frustrated drivers behind him. As we're just heading through the middle sector now, following Patterson. And actually there we can see Muscat as well, who's chasing Galka, who's chasing Patterson. So this was this 5-6 car train it is, I think. There's Simon Frelick, who's managed to work his way back up to 8th place. Of course, he was our race winner in race 1. Had an incident earlier on, though, and dropped down to 10th. Of course, he started from P9, this being a reverse grid race. And the format for reverse grid here in Super Cup is that we pull a number out of a hat. From the results in race 1, that's within the top 15, and whatever that number is, the driver who finished their start from pole, it was P9 this time, so Menacont started from pole, and it was Frelick that started in P9, and then the rest of the drivers all started where they finished race 1. So heading into the final corner to start lap 12 for these guys, and it is still Patterson just chasing Clont, unable to find the way past. Maybe I'll be able to have a go with the DRS. Heading through the first section, not working the car as much through there compared to Clont. Clont was able to get the car out much wider into turn 3. Patterson just straight lining it a little bit, it would seem. Just not working that way. He also seems to have a bit of suspension damage, just that wheel tilted a little bit down the straight. Getting very close. Will he have a go? He is going to have a go. Pulls to the outside. Tries to get around the outside. Oh, bit of a wobble from both of them. Oh, and there's wheel backing from both of them. Heading into the right-hander. It's Patterson with the inside. Clont on the outside. Does Patterson shut the door? No, he doesn't. So Clont looks like he's still going to hold on to the position. Actually, Galka going to try and filter through as well. So Patterson could be going from almost getting a position to almost losing a position, but now he's going to try and have a look around the outside of Clont. Doesn't have a go. So it's all holding on for the time being. So Clont still leads this train for 4th that goes down to P9, I think it is there. Sonneveld maybe in the background. Oh, and he's very slow through there. Parks it on the apex. Few drivers are running into the wall on the outside as well. That's a classic defensive manoeuvre, but not one that's smiled upon by other drivers, shall we say. There we can see Frelick trying to go around the outside of Muscat, getting around the outside of Muscat. Very lovely move, unless Muscat can do anything about it. Yes, he does. He tries to fight back on the inside. Frelick still there. There's wheel banging between them. Frelick has to cut the next corner. Oh, they're both starting. Oh, and Muscat's into Frelick. Muscat makes contact with Frelick, loses his front wing. Frelick gets the place, but I don't know if he has any damage. But yeah, that is big damage for the front of Muscat's car. Muscat losing his front wing there. And, well, it would have been a nice move from Frelick, but it ended up not being. He doesn't have any damage from the onboard from what I can tell. Up to P8 he goes, and now he's going to attack Somerville. Big shame there, though, for Muscat.
Oh, and Justin van der Smissen's also got damage. He's coming in pits after a fantastic drive to get from the pit lane all the way up to P11 or 12. So Muscat, while he's got that damage, is not the only one on that last lap. And I'll take a look as to why that happened. We're looking now at Crop, who's caught up to Butcher, goes to the outside line. And does it work this time? Yes, he has a lot more success than he has done on previous attempts. He's up the inside, and that's going to be a relatively straightforward one from Menno Klont. Good move, actually. As for what happened to Van der Smissen, he appeared to lose it well, he got distracted by the accident up ahead of him that was going on between Muscat and Frelick, and lost it under the tunnel. That's where he lost his front wing in race 1 as well. Now here we're looking at Frelick and his accident with Muscat, and you'll see how it all builds up to this. Frelick tries to go around the outside, then cuts the corner and comes together with Jason Muscat, who spears straight back across and into the side of Frelick's car. I think that was a little ambitious from Shimon Frelick there, but a really good save, actually, because it looked like his car was sure to go round on the exit. Meanwhile, another fastest lap for Tom Stevens, so props to him for not giving up. He's not going to get any points out of this, but at least he's going to get the fastest lap of the race at this rate. Well, he is, because there's no one else going anywhere near as fast as him on track right now. And the battles that we have to look out for now, as Crop has got past Butcher, are probably Klunt and Patson, and their fight with Galka, Frelick, Sonneveld, Gut, Voss, etc., everyone involved in that one, and then a few more down in the remaining order in the top 15. Also, Luke McGuire is back into the points now, P13, so a little bit of damage limitation for Luke McGuire. He will still be quite comfortably leading the championship after this round, but Chris Butchie will take a few points out of him with his third place if it was to finish like this.
Yeah, indeed. Just kind of looking through, of course, coming up to the final quarter of racing for the night here in Supercup. Frelick maybe having a go on Galka, having a look to the inside of Galka, decides against it. Cropper's got 3 seconds to make up to Kardash. Does he have enough? Frelick dives down the inside of Galka. Galka's in the wall. That could have been a very, very good move from Frelick, and it is a very good move. He hangs it around the outside. That is fantastic from our race 1 winner, Simon Frelick. Gets up to P6. But yeah, it's well, actually, that being said, Crop's really chopped half a second out of Kardash, so maybe it might be seeing them get a bit close at the end of this race. Just to wait and see what Crop has got in his back pocket. We knew he had pace from race 1. Let's see what he can do here in race 2. And of course, if you are just joining us, it's been a hectic night of racing here at GPVWC Super Cup. Got a replay here of the overtake from race 1 winner Simon Frelick, and first time winner in Super Cup. This was only his second podium as well. His best result after that was, you can see, he had a look to the inside. Galka ran wide, almost came together. So then he had a poke up the inside,
Wow.
bit of wheel banging into the. Galka went into the wall and back into Frelick. Then got the momentum run. Frelick held it around the outside, super brave around the outside, great move. Yeah, up to this point, as I was saying though, Frelick, his best result up to that point in the season was third in race 2 in Azerbaijan. So great stuff from him. And of course, if you haven't already and you are just joining us, first of all, hello and welcome. You have missed a lot, so I would recommend watching this back in a second. Of course, please, if you haven't already, do hit subscribe and like on the YouTube stream. It really does benefit absolutely everyone here at GPVWC. A lot of effort goes into organising these championships and these broadcasts, and it is really appreciated by everyone here, and we do love checking along and reading your comments as you make them in the live chat. So don't be afraid to pop up with any opinions. Do you think Crop's going to catch Kardash before the end of the race? Let us know in the live chat. And well, Caitlin, you seem like you're about to come in with an opinion on that, so I'll let you have a moment.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting, but I do have a comment on that myself. Crop's last lap was almost a second faster than Kardash's. He is absolutely flying at this point. And yeah, okay, the start of this lap hasn't been quite as quick for Crop, but he smells blood in the water. He sees the gap up in front of him, and that's going to be like a carrot on a stick as he approaches the tail end of Damien Kardash's car. Let's see what the lap time is this time around. Keep an eye on that one. Yeah, all he needed to do was get past Chris Butcher, and then he had a clean run at Damien Kardash. Now, it will get more difficult for him as he gets closer to the rear end of Kardash's car, and that may be why he's struggling to gain as much as he did on the previous lap. On this lap, because of course there's going to be turbulent air coming off the car in front of him, it's going to be less option for him in terms of where he wants to put his car. But as for Moritz Krop, it's still a very quick lap. It's his personal best, and it's 0.8 of a second quicker than Damien Kardash. So the fight is absolutely on here between Kardash and Krop. The 2Ks fighting for the lead of the race. And I tell you what, between Krop and Frelick in this couple of races, they've had more anxiety, more frustration cooped up between them, more aggression in terms of their overtakes than, I don't know, Goku or someone aggressive like that. They've been absolutely phenomenal to watch today. And yes, there have been incidents, and yes, there's been collateral damage, but it's provided some fantastic spectacle. Oh, and look at this. This is P7, Galka versus Sonneveld. Sonneveld with a little twitch on the exit of that corner there. So still fights going on up and down this order. But yeah, I think Krop's going to win this.
Yeah, well, we'll just have to see. I must say that's the first time I've seen someone in a sim race be compared to a Dragon Ball Z character, but I'll let you have it. Honestly, I don't know. Krop is absolutely flying at the moment, but as you said, once he gets into that dirt area, it's going to be a little bit harder for him to get to Kardash. And again, it is one thing to catch to a driver, another thing to overtake, especially when it's for the race lead. Guy Sonneveld has had a fantastic pair of races tonight, especially with a 5-place grid penalty that is carried into this event. So he's done very, very well indeed. Currently running in P8. Please excuse me that. He can come away from this race with a big smile on his face, I'd say. Obviously, Thursday, I wouldn't say go drinking because it's Thursday night, so you've probably got work tomorrow, mate. But yeah, you can certainly be happy with what you've done. There is Tom Voss in P10 as well, who's had a really good race too after he retired in race 1, so he's done well there as well. Looking through, we've got Justin van der Smissen up to P15 as well. He's a big mover, up 4 places. So he's done quite well. Lap 17 now of 20. The gap between Krop and Kardash just over a second. As they, well, I'm not sure where they are on track, but on board with Vincent Gutt, who's we're just coming through up to turn 4 now. Very, very quick corner. It's also slightly on a crest as Gutt loses the rear end. Manages to save it, but will lose all that momentum and will lose a place as well to Voss, surely. But it's slightly on a crest, slightly off camber is turn 4. Gutt's going to try and hold it around the outside, actually. He manages to hold on to the position. Or almost, not quite done yet. Now he holds on, unless Voss can get the switch back. No, he can't. So Gutt somehow holds on. But yeah, it's a slightly off camber, slightly uphill corner. It's very, very tricky through there, given how quick it is as well. So lucky to catch that when he did go round. And Gutt, yeah, another big mover here in race 2 as well, of course. Slightly shorter race in race 2, only 100 kilometers compared to 150 in race 1, and there is also no mandatory pit stop. You can take a pit stop if you want. That is what we saw from Chris Butcher, I believe it was. Yes, it was Chris Butcher. Hockenheim, he actually took a pit stop in race 2 and went on to win that race. So you can do it if you want. You know, we've been seeing it done in real life before. If you cast your mind back, if you're a Formula 2 fan, you will surely remember Charles Leclerc's magnificent sprint race win at the 2017 Sakir round, where he had a pit stop in that and still won the race. That was awesome. So it is doable in a sprint race, both in sim and in the real world. But it's something very outside the box, something you would not expect to see. Krop, a second and a half back on Kardash with 3 laps to go. His progress seemingly stalling as we've headed into the final few laps. On board with Menno Klont, who's lost a position now to Craig Patterson, who's hanging on to the back of the Nova Simracing driver. He's got the DRS. Will he be having a look? He pokes a nose to the inside but doesn't go for the move. Klont did start from the pole position. He finished 9th in race 1, so he got the reverse grid pole and then just has not really had the race that he would have been wanting. Going backwards, managed to hold on to P4 for quite some time. finally losing out to Patton and falling to P5 at Frelick. Frelick's a long way back. Frelick is, well, Frelick and Galka and Sunwell, them lot there, I'm not sure if there's been an incident somewhere or something, but they've dropped back. There is Luke Maguire down in 13th place, who are obviously caught on that lap 1 incident with Tom Stevens. Obviously, he's our championship leader at the moment. Came into race 1 with the pole position, looking like he was going to be set for 3 race wins in a row. Then got done by Frelick on strategy, retook the lead. Well, then tangled with Crop, had to settle for 2nd place. Now down in 13th. This is going to allow Butcher to get a big chunk of points in the championship. So not the, well, yeah, coming away without a race win is not the weekend that he would have wanted, or the Thursday night rather that he would have wanted. There we see Kardash and Crop starting their penultimate lap on the race. Crop was only 15 hundredths of a second quicker on that lap. So as it stands, Kardash is sitting in a very nice position, Caitlin.
Indeed. Now this is what I expected might happen between Kardash and Crop, with Crop getting a little bit boxed up now, trying to get closer to Kardash still, but his last 3 laps have been within 1/10 of a second of Kardash's time. And this is always the hardest bit of catching the car in front of you. We know he's got the pace. Maybe his tyres are just going off a little bit. We'll have to see. Keep an eye on that. But even so, he still seems to be. Oh, and look at this. This is P12 now. Luke Maguire going for it and passing Alexander Kasper Michalak in that. Michalak was a slight twitch, but Maguire back up into 12th position after that early race incident. Once again, more damage limitation for Luke Maguire in this one. And here's a replay now of Jason Muscat through the final corner. Is he going to have a spin on the exit? That would be a bad place to go for a spin. He seems to be okay. This is just Jason Muscat traversing the difficult Singapore street circuit. I think something briefly happened on the exit of the Anderson Bridge there. Yeah, Michal Galka just had a bit of a twitch, and he's lost a place or 2 in that one. He was running 7th, and then had a twitch, and through went High Sonneveld. So Galka now down into 8th, and under pressure from Tom Voss in all of this as well. Voss, another driver who's been doing very well today. Started from the pits in race 1, and is now running P8. On to the final lap now. The gap for the lead is about a second. Can Crop get within DRS zone in time to go for a move? I'm a little concerned that he won't now. Whoa, especially if he has a twitch like that one. Vincent Gutt just getting past, and Galka's crashed. Wow, so Galka, we saw him have an incident earlier, or last lap, and going on to the final lap, he's now got heavy damage. He's lost his front and rear wing, and that was coming out of the final corner there. Don't think anyone else was quite involved. He was right in front of Tom Voss, but it looks like he did it on his own to me. And that's a big shame for Michal Galka. Shimon Frelick just loses the place to High Sonneveld as well, as we look at the Galka incident. Out of the final corner, going to lose control. And that's what happened.
That is a big crash. Goodness me. That's I'm surprised he's been able to keep going after that. That is for me, that's a DNF there, and then that's a huge impact.
Crop spun. Crop's lost it. Crop's hit the wall. So Moritz Crop once again will have to cross the finish line without a front wing. And this time he might just be able to hang on to a podium because he had a big gap. But that means that Damien Kardash will undoubtedly win this race now, providing he can traverse these last few corners. Moritz Crop was pushing too hard and lost it. My goodness. Damien Kardash approaches the final corner, and he's going to round this to win what will be, I think, his 3rd victory of the season, and possibly his most deserved, because he really had to fight for this one. Damien Kardash wins. Fantastic stuff. Now, does Crop hold on to 2nd, or is he going to go wide? He does go slightly wide in the final corner, but holds it. Further back, Clont and Patson having a ding-dong battle, and they come together across the line. And Patson and Clont allows Patson to finish 4th. Great sportsman-like driving from Menno Clont. Believes that it was his fault. So it's Crop 2nd, followed by Butcher, then Patson, who crosses the line in front of Clont, who waits for him rather than waiting for a penalty to be dealt after the race. and that's great to see there. Sonneveld will be 6th, good job from him. Frelick will be 7th, our race 1 winner. Then Tom Voss, Vincent Gutt, Luke Maguire gets 10th place. So Luke Maguire, despite the collision, comes home in 10th. Then it's Alexander Ragosa, Jason Muscat, Kasper Michalak, Michal Galka, and Justin van der Smissen. No, it's not.
No, van der Smissen got...
passes Galka.
Yeah,
that's
got him
because
at
of
the line.
That's because of Galka's damage. So Galka does manage to creep home to get one final points-paying position there. One final point.
I've got no idea how Galka was allowed to finish that race, let alone actually managed to get it to the line. There was a replay of Krop's spin. Just coming out of a turn 4. Oh, yeah, just a bit of suspension damage, just the front wing as well. Just pushing too hard, I think. Lucky for him. It's he could have had a win here tonight. He could have had a win in race 1 as well. Oh, yeah, just touched the outside wall. Yeah, very weird incident. Just on the brakes, maybe locked the rears, perhaps. But he's still coming away with the 2nd place. There's the accident between Clont and Patton, and yeah, great sportsmanship from Menno Clont there. Just letting Patton, just cross the line, because Patton had to spin the rear wheels there. We get an onboard here. So Clont just touches the back of Patton immediately onto the brakes. He knows exactly what's happened. And Patton just guns it, and then he guns it across the line as well to finish 5th. So Menno Clont, I think, deserves a round of applause for a fantastic display of sportsmanship, something you don't often see in sim racing. So fair play to Menno Clont. Patton as well, managing to hold on to P4. I'm sure he won't be happy, but he managed to hold on to P4, so he'll take it. But yeah, great performance there by our winner, Damien Kardashev. It is his 3rd win of the season, as you said, and well, he certainly did have to work for it. But it's a very well-deserved victory there, I think, and I think one that he'll be very, very happy with as well.
Absolutely, what a day. Can you pick a driver of the day from that one? Goodness me, it's hard to think of anyone who didn't get involved in an incident, to be honest, because that's what kind of day this was. But probably Shimon Frelick has got to be a contender for that. And we can talk to him now, can't we? Yes, we can. Well, let's bring him in ever so quickly. Shimon, do you hear us? Or don't you? Shimon, we actually don't hear you if you're trying to speak now, so try again maybe. Okay, well, we might as well... Oh, he's rejoined.
Sorry, I was connecting.
Oh, there we go. Jolly good. Okay, Shimon, your first victory of this season. Is that your first victory in Super Cup as a whole, and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, that's my first win in the whole Super Cup. It was very tiring. It's very hard to race against someone like Luke Maguire, and also Moritz was also there behind us. After qualifying, I just had in mind the plan to just undercut Luke, which worked pretty well, to be honest. I was surprised that I came out so far ahead, but then at the end I just couldn't maintain the rear tires, and you could probably see me half spinning. But yeah, I was lucky enough to have Moritz and Luke have an incident, which is unlucky for Luke because he looked very strong in that race, and I think he would have gotten the win. He would have gotten the win. But yeah, with a bit of luck, I got the win. So yeah.
What goes through your... Sorry, yeah, absolutely it was. What goes through your mind when you crash like that?
To be honest, by the positioning of their cars, I was expecting the crash, because if the two cars side by side are so close to the wall, there was something going to happen. I was ready to just swerve right, and they did tangle. So I think I just screamed yes to my engineer.
I don't blame you. So race 2 as well. That was a eventful one, let's say.
Yeah, not the best for me. I was just trying to not make the same mistake as I did in race 1, which was preserve my rear tires. I was going pretty well, and then I got punted from behind by Ragosa, and then I just had a lot of incidents coming back through the field, which just damaged my car, and I couldn't catch up to the people ahead of me.
Even so, P7 is some solid points, especially after your first victory in Supercup. What are you expecting for the rest of this season? What do you think you can do? More wins?
Well, Singapore is like one of the strongest tracks for me. I just love this circuit. But I hope I can keep the momentum going, and if not fight for the win, at least fight for some podiums in the coming races.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for speaking to us, and congratulations on your first victory in GPVWC Supercup.
Thank you.
Okie dokie, Russ, I'll let you take your pick on who you want to interview.
Oh, that is that's always a great question. We've got about 20 people waiting for an interview, so I think we'll pull in Moritz Kropp, who is he's had an interest in that, hasn't he? Moritz, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Well, I mean, where do we start? I mean, race one was so close. Just the coming together with Luke at the end, you were very, very close to holding on for a podium. Do you think if you hadn't had that coming together, you could have won that race?
Yeah, of course. I wasn't sure in the beginning when we did qualifying if I could pull this off. But once we were like settled down on lap 5, when we had our group there, when all the mess was gone, I thought that a podium could be safe here. And but I didn't think that the win would have been possible, considering how good they were. But we played a little bit of ping pong in the last 2 laps, which unfortunately didn't end too well for me. But well done to Simon. He did a very, very good job this round.
Yeah, and again, what happened at the end of race 2 as well? Because you were closing, and then you sort of started as a fortune, and as well on the last lap you had a bit of an accident. See, I've still managed to hold on to P2, but what happened? You were just pushing a bit too hard there at the end?
I don't really know what really happened. I need to look into that. I think it was a combination of just trying too hard or pushing too hard, and also the collisions with Chris. I don't know if you've seen it, but they were quite hefty, and I got a lot of damage from it, and my steering wasn't straight. Like, it was just minor, but maybe that could have played a role. And in the end, I did a little 360. It felt like a little brake failure. I don't know what happened there, but just disappointment, really.
Well, it's still race 2 was still your best result in the championship since race 2 at France. And you've put in a great couple of performances, and you've got a decent haul of points in the championship. So, looking forward, is it a weekend that you think you're going to be happy with as you come to the next weekend? Is it, got yourself enough points to keep yourself alive and fighting in the championship?
Not really in the championship, no. I think the championship just died today, I think.
Well, I wasn't talking in terms of like trying to fight for the lead, but I mean just like fighting for where you are. Because coming into this round, you're only 3 points off of 5th place.
Yeah, I was aiming for 4th, maybe to be Damien, but today I think that's gone. If he doesn't get a DNF, that's it. But no, I can be really happy with the performance today. I got everything out in terms of pace. It just didn't go my way, and that has been my biggest issue today. And this race just showed that I did a few right calls in the beginning, like when I came out of holiday. That was I did a few good calls, and
Well, thanks for joining us, Moritz. And it could have been a lot better, but at the same time, it was still a great night for you and some great results. So thanks for joining us, and a great job.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was Moritz Kropp, and Caitlin. I'm not sure if you're still hanging about. Are you still there?
I am.
Oh, there
I'm
you are.
still here, don't worry. Okie dokie, let's talk to our championship leader, Luke Guire. Luke, you there?
Hello, Caitlin. How are you?
Fantastic stuff. So, Luke, P2 in race 1, but my goodness, what could have been there, right?
Yeah, very very weird ending to to race one. I felt quicker than Frelick on the mediums. He got me in the first in the stops, and he jumped me there. But yeah, in the mediums, I felt like I could attack him, and I was kind of waiting for my opportunity, and it came up, and I went around the outside of left-hander after the straight, and he kind of just pushed me off the track, and then I lost the position to Crop. So I mean, all that kind of it was all kind of all over the place those last couple of laps, but it doesn't take away the fact that that was a really nice battle. Crop, me and Simon. It was very it was clean up until that point, but yeah, I still enjoyed it.
And of course, that means you do take even more points out of your teammate in the championship here. You've got quite a sizable buffer after that race in Monza, right?
Yeah, yeah, I nearly made it three wins in the trot. It would have been nice, but yeah, no, luck was kind of going against me in race two, but I actually said to Toby, I was like, I'm going to retire the car, and she said, keep going, we'll keep going and see how far we get. I ended up getting in 10th place from 23rd, so that was a good drive. Very happy with it.
So that's an accident in both races then. Do you think the driving standards out there were worse than usual, or how do you see those in?
I don't know. It's Singapore, like, you know, it's really hard to go side by side, and moves are either kind of, you know, you can't do a half kind of attempt at a move. So yeah, no, driving standards probably weren't the best, but you know, we're not gonna make any enemies. We're just gonna keep doing our own thing. So we're happy enough with second and 10th.
I like that attitude. It's easy to point fingers, but at the end of the day, you're leading the championship. So congrats on your podium, and a good recovery drive actually. P10 from right near the back.
Yeah, happy enough, and yeah, like the usual, thanks to Tom, Toby, all the THR guys, and especially Chris. Chris gave me a slipstream in qualifying, and we never even agreed on that, so that was
Fantastic. Okie dokie. Well, I think that might be all that we have time for today, I'm afraid to say. Unless, Ross, you want to quickly speak to Chris, but I don't know if you think there's time for that or
No,
not.
I don't think we do, unfortunately. Just pass on. I'll have to him, Luke, I guess.
Sorry, Chris. I know you're waiting in the waiting room there. But anyway, thank you all for watching today's Super Cup round 13 of the GPVWC Simracing Super Cup Championship. Join us next week, actually, because we've got a packed schedule with Super League Lights and Super League, and at Singapore, those are going to be phenomenal. And then, of course, in 2 weeks' time, we will be back for some more GPVWC Super Cup action, and this time we are going to be at, let me just double check that, but it
Suzuka.
is the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka, which is always a good one. And I have a feeling it might be wet, actually, because Suzuka does tend to be. But anyway, no promises on that. We'll have to see in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much to Ross McIntyre for commentating alongside me and taking over when my voice box called enough. And thank you as well to Heigo Poom for the fantastic broadcast and replays and everything of that sort, despite the slight broadcast issues. That's all for today, and see you in 2 weeks' time. Good night.